Salutations! Welcome to Pod Mortem. I'm Travis Hunter, joined as always by my co-host, my sister, and my brother-in-law.
Hi, I'm Reneé Hunter Vasquez.
Hi, I'm John Paul Vasquez.
This week, we're broadcasting live from Our Lady of the Angels Hospital, discussing the 2013 supernatural horror sequel, Insidious Chapter 2. This film was directed by James Wan from a screenplay by Leigh Whannell. Insidious Chapter 2 reunites the cast and crew for another venture into the further, picking right up where the first film left off. This film provides an exploration and explanation of the ghoulish happenings experienced by the Lambert family in the first film, while also keeping with the themes, tone, and atmosphere we've come to expect. Though the film received mixed reviews from critics, it proved to be a box office success, setting the stage for future entries in the franchise. So, Insidious Chapter 2. What were your first impressions on the film?
So I'll say this at the beginning because I don't know why, but as I watched this movie again, I like the Insidious movie.
Well, good.
Good.
Like, I would defend these movies for some weird reason. And I know this one isn't the greatest, but I still really enjoyed watching this movie. There are some parts that were I was like, come on. But for the most part, I did like the movie. We've seen it maybe a couple of times.
Maybe.
Right.
I think I only watched it once. You may have seen it more than that. Yeah.
I think I watched it one or two other times. I might have watched it with the kids.
Yeah.
But I like the movie. I really do. I don't know why. I think it's just the world they created here and the way they did it, and it does look good. And there was moments in the movie, I was telling your sister last night, where I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? I was tense and I was like, fuck. But I did enjoy the movie.
I really, really liked it the first time I saw it because of the way that it ties into the first one. And I still really love that aspect of it. But watching it for the show, it had a lot of issues that I didn't
Well, yeah.
clock, I guess, when I had watched it before. I guess some continuity stuff, some stuff that just flat out doesn't logistically make sense.
Right.
Subplot that's kind of abandoned, that's a little problematic. T and I were talking last night. I don't know. I mean, I love, like you said, this universe that they created. I think visually it's really great.
Oh, yeah.
Juan really knows how to create suspense. For me, it's the story a little bit.
Well, yeah.
And I feel like I was, and we'll get to it, I know, but I was a little caught off guard literally in the first scene by some overdubbing.
Oh my God.
And then so I'm already a little rocked before it's even happened yet. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I still like it. Don't get me wrong. I'll watch it again, especially since I really, really do love the first one, and it ties in. The moments that tie in perfectly. I feel like it's when they kind of try to venture off and no, this is a new story. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
You're doing too much. But I like it. I don't love it.
Right.
I mean, I think that's fair. For me, I love this film series.
Right.
Like you do. I know you both do.
Yeah.
I just love James Wan and Leigh Whannell working together.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that they're such a creative and interesting duo. And so I will literally watch anything that they make.
No, for sure. But they don't all knock it out of the park.
Well, I do want to give full disclosure that Leigh Whannell does follow me on Twitter.
Here we go.
And
So y'all are basically best friends.
We go way back, having interacted maybe twice. But I do want to say that I obviously do think that the first film is the stronger film when you compare them.
Right.
But I think for me, the only way, or at least the best way to watch this film is a double feature.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it genuinely, you understand Chapter 2. Because it's literally almost finishing the sentence that the first one started.
Right.
Well, it really feels like it's just, I mean, I know it is technically part 2, but it's almost like it's the same movie. It's just, the way that it flows. Which I love. I love like Halloween 2.
Oh,
like we pick up, it's like, no, y'all thought we were done. Like I like that.
I think, and I do appreciate that they did that. A lot of sequels will pick up like years later.
Yeah.
It takes me back to Halloween 2.
Yeah.
Where it's literally the same fucking night.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, and I'm glad you said that. But I enjoyed Halloween 2 because of that.
You loved Halloween.
Yeah. Plus, the music was getting it on there. So.
Hey, speaking of music, the fucking music in this.
No, it's great. But you come to expect that. Like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, the thing is that you bring back the crew from Insidious.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people worked with James Wan on The Conjuring as well.
Yeah.
All right.
And so you've got kind of like your blueprint, and you know that these people you're working with, the crew you're working with, it's going to be something good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got fucking Joseph Bishara, who...
Of course.
I gotta be honest, I don't know how he writes this. I just know that it has a direct line, as Nay would say, to my scaredy bone.
Yes.
Right.
And it works amazingly.
The title card in this, I was like, fuck, they did it again.
Dude, I swear to God, it's the most...
It scares me every time.
Like frightening noise I've ever heard. I don't know how you do that. I think he chatted with the devil to find out.
No, he went to hell and took music lessons.
Yeah.
With the robot devil. Huh?
Yes, exactly. But I think that, as Nay had said, that there's something with the story and maybe some of the characterization that I feel like could have used a little more work, perhaps. But I love how they play with time, and they enrich all these moments from the first film with this film.
Yeah.
That's by far my favorite part of this. Like I said, it's just when they're like, well, let's go back to the past. It's like, y'all, I don't know. It just kind of, I don't want to say it completely falls apart for me, but it's like, okay. Like, I just don't, I don't necessarily know that we needed all
I
this.
think it makes me laugh because they're like, well, you thought.
Yeah.
But actually. And they do that a lot.
Yeah. I mean,
once is fine.
Yeah.
Y'all are doing too much, like I said.
I mean, I appreciate it. Like, I'll say 75% of the time.
Yeah.
But I did want to read this quote that made me laugh. It was from James Wan in an interview he did with Complex, because this is the first sequel he's ever done. And so he had said that after his experience with Saw, that watching what the franchise turned into after he bailed, he's like, I want to be hands-on.
I bet.
The quote that he said, he goes, if anyone's going to fuck up my franchise, it's going to be me.
Well,
you got to respect it.
Now, before we trap this film in the further, we would like to issue a warning for spoilers. Pod Mortem is a very in-depth podcast, and in thoroughly discussing horror films, we have no choice but to spoil a thing or two. If you don't wish to be spoiled, please go watch the film, then come back and enjoy the show. If you've already seen the film or don't care about spoilers, let's roll the dice. Now, this film obviously relies heavily on having already seen Insidious. If you haven't, we suggest you go watch it, or go listen to episode 23 of our show as a refresher. So the film begins with opening credits reminiscent of the first film in style and music, before cutting to a car parking on the curb just outside of an amazing but kind of spooky looking house.
I thought of you because it said in Oren Peli production.
Look, all I'll say is that I'm not sure what he did on this film, but literally everything I watched production-wise was just Jason Blum.
Well, you know.
So I'm like, well, I mean... did he call the set? How's everything? How's everything going?
Put me on there.
Yeah, first though.
It is first.
It is. Now, for all I know, he was there every day.
Yeah.
So don't listen to me.
Regardless of how involved he was, I did think of you. I was like, he's gonna love that.
Fantastic. I think he did the first one too, so I guess it's just par for the course. But a blonde woman steps out of the car and climbs the steps to knock on the front door. We get on-screen text reading, Lambert Residence, 1986. Young Lorraine Lambert, played by Jocelyn Donahue, answers the door. You might remember her from Dr. Sleep. She was Abra's mom.
Oh, all right.
So Josh grew up in that scary-ass house.
Yeah.
That looked fucking scary.
It wasn't scary to him. It was his house.
He's like, that's my home.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah!
Yeah. The scariest fucking house you ever saw. That's where I live. But I was like, damn. Like,
it's like it's Port Town.
Yeah.
I think my thing is like everybody in these movies has really amazing houses.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what do you do? Is this like the fucking House Hunter show where they're like, you know,
I count beans for a living.
Yeah. And our budget is $8 million. But the woman at the door introduces herself as Elise Reneé, played by Lindsay Syme, but clearly voiced by Lin Shaye.
Yeah. Well, look, she looks like her young.
She does.
So I was like, okay, I can forget the anime dub. I was like, I know you didn't like it too much.
I did not care for it. And the second that she stepped out of her car and I saw her little cropped pants, I knew exactly who she was. Because I'm like, so you're basically making her wear the exact same outfit that she's wearing in how many years? 30 years from now? I don't know.
Well, calm down because I'm 30 and I already dress like basically Larry David.
I felt like that was enough. We knew exactly who she was.
Yeah.
She could have had a little bit of I don't want to say more youthful voice. Lin Shaye's voice is so I would say iconic at this point.
I literally wrote iconic.
That you oughta need to do all that. That's just me being nitpicky. But I was like, what the fuck?
Well, maybe she just didn't sound like her, so they're like, look, we've got a choice. We've got to do something.
I did see because they had said that in one of the trailers the actress's voice was used.
Right.
And so I went and watched it. I mean, it's a normal voice. It's not anything like she doesn't sound like Pee Wee Herman when he does that. So it's a normal human voice.
When he does that thing.
Well, you know what he does. I can't do it, but
the throat thing.
Yeah. But so
if that's what she sounded like, I fucking get it. That's fine. Dub it over. I get it.
I would have understood it. Her voice was fine.
Right.
I think I agree with Nay because Lin Shaye's voice is so Lin Shaye.
Right.
And so to see it coming out of anybody else,
it's like,
is
wait, what?
This is weird. And it's very clear that they recorded it with this actress's voice.
Oh, yeah.
And then overdubbed.
Yeah.
And so when you see that the things don't 100% line up all the time, you're like, why did you do it at all?
What was the forethought? I don't know. No, I don't know. They're not going to know it's Elise. It's just weird.
Even though she introduces herself.
Yes, and she looks just fucking like her.
The casting is amazing.
It's great. I don't know. This is such a stupid hill to die on, but I did not care for it.
But I have died on this hill. And I will say that Jocelyn Donahue is a pretty good young stand-in for Barbara Hershey.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She even kind of has her mannerisms.
Yeah, that was
very
really good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I liked it.
Is she lip syncing Barbara Hershey's?
Yeah. See, that was the other thing. I was like, what are we doing here?
It's just too much.
But Lorraine apologizes for it being so late, saying that with her day job, raising her son has kind of become her night job. But Elise tells her it's no trouble. Honestly, with her job, things tend to only happen when it's dark. But Elise steps inside with Lorraine, noticing her friend, young Carl, played by Hank Harris, kneeling at the side of the table with equipment and headphones on.
Did anybody else think that this was Gary Cole for a second?
Not even.
Okay.
Not even for a millisecond.
Yeah, no, me neither.
Oh. Is that just for the people that might have? You're trying to...
No, I definitely thought it was Gary Cole. And I got excited because Gary Cole is in everything. He's in shit that you don't remember him being in.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess it's not him, guys.
No, it's not. For anyone that was thinking...
Not me.
No. I do want to say that I can't be certain, but I feel like young Carl is rocking a fake beard.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say young Carl because of timelines.
Yeah.
Not because he's like a SoundCloud rapper or anything.
Little Carl.
Yeah. But Elise lifts one of his headphones to say hello to him, and they hug, Carl thanking her for coming. He says with everything going on, she was the only person that he thought to call. And after a few pleasantries and a bit of teasing, Elise gets down to business with Lorraine. But Elise confirms that it's Lorraine's son, Josh, that's being affected, and Carl chimes in that something is following him. He tells Lorraine simply, show her, before pulling Elise aside to let her know that he's done all the standard checks to ensure this is legitimate. Medical records, mental health tests, and everything is normal. But that's when he saw the photos. Lorraine hands them to Elise, saying that she noticed it a few weeks ago, thinking that it was just a problem with the camera, but soon she knew that it was more. Elise looks at the photos of young Josh, played by Garrett Ryan. In them, and in various situations, we see a dark figure in the background slowly and surely getting closer to Josh as Elise cycles through them. Carl says he's interviewed Josh, but Josh is too afraid to tell him anything. Carl admits that he's afraid too. He says there's something in this house that doesn't want him here.
but he like pulls it to the side and tells her, and the mom's right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, she can hear you.
Well, she's like, well, why didn't you fucking tell me that shit? You never once mentioned it.
That's the note that Oren Pelly gave.
Oh,
Tell them
right?
that you cannot help him.
And then leave.
It does not want me here. I'll see you guys later.
But Elise reaches the last photo, and we see Josh seated on the couch and a ghostly hand reaching out to him. Elise kindly asks if she can meet Josh. So I'm not saying this is like a great reason not to have children, but
but it's a reason.
I mean, but through an old video camera, we see Josh seated in a chair, Elise introducing herself to him from behind the camera and telling him that she has a couple of questions. She starts off simple, asking if he likes living here and if any kids his age live nearby. Yes, and yes. But then she asks if there is anything he doesn't like about the house, and he tenses up a bit, saying that he has bad dreams sometimes.
Elise is like, you like living in this scary house? You like this shit?
It's like, and you're surprised there's fucking... That ghost came with a terror. They're your roommates. But Josh goes silent when Elise asks him what happens in those dreams. Hitting a brick wall, Elise tells Josh that she'd like to try something with him and promises that it won't hurt. So we cut to Josh, still seated in the chair, but with the lights off and surrounded by lit candles. His eyes closed, Elise tells him to relax as she starts a metronome. She tells him to focus on the rhythmic ticking and to tune everything else out. She then tells him to feel himself getting sleepier, and within 2 seconds says they're now inside his dream.
Like, shit.
Yeah. I want to fall asleep then.
She works quick. Dude, that's something that happens later.
Oh my God.
I was laughing, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, I was like, he must have already been
He's had
really
a full
tired. But Josh tells her that he sees himself sleeping in bed, only he's not in his bedroom. He's somewhere dark. He says it's always dark here, and when asked, he says he isn't alone. She's here. She says she's a friend, and she visits Josh every night. Lorraine puts her hand to her throat like, holy shit. Personally, I've never understood this gesture. Mm-hmm. Are you like guarding your neck meat just in case?
Yeah.
You're grasping at your pearls, even if they're not there.
So is that like evolution is just made you?
My word.
Yeah. Heavens to Betsy.
Well, I never, you know, in that vein. Yeah.
You have to say, she didn't say any of those things. So
she did in her head.
Yeah.
Should have done voiceover. But Elise asks where she is right now because she'd like to talk to her, but Josh goes silent. This is when Elise decides to call an audible, whispering to Carl and then telling Josh that they're going to play a new game, hot and cold. So I want to call out, we talked about this on the Conjuring 2 episode.
Right.
Episode 36. Where James Wan seems to have a knack for showing you the layout of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the more interesting ways that he's done it. Because this isn't the only time that we're going to be in this house.
Right.
No.
And so he's like, this is where the kitchen is. This is how you get to this place. This is why these scares are going to work later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a way that's organic. It's
Yeah.
not like, you know, like a sweeping shot or something. Like,
no.
you know, she needs to be wandering through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's usually a sweeping shot.
Well, I mean, it's not just a sweep.
Yeah.
It serves. Is my point.
You like belittled him. He's like, what the fuck? I'm doing my best.
That's not what I meant, James.
He listens.
Mr. Wan.
Yeah. Well, if Lee Winnell's my best friend, who knows?
Then he knows our intentions.
We can only hope. But Elise explains that she'll walk through the house and he'll tell her if she's getting warmer or colder. She makes her way through the kitchen and the dining room, the camera sweeping to follow her.
Did you see that the light fixture in the dining room was swinging back and forth?
There are like little like moments of horror.
Yeah,
already.
It was like subtle, not just like pendulum swinging. You could have missed it.
I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about. I can't remember the third and fourth Insidious films very well, but in the first two, you really have to investigate like every bit of the frame.
Oh yeah,
because there's shit that is hidden. And we'll get to one later.
Right.
That's very reminiscent of something from the first film. But
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's just genius.
Yeah.
But initially in their game, Josh tells her over a radio that she's cold. But when she makes it to the bottom of the staircase, he tells her she's getting warmer, so she heads up. We dip down from the light fixture in Josh's bedroom that the first film opened with, if you recall.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
The light turning on before Elise even enters the room, which again...
the fact that whatever's in there is like, oh no, come on in.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even, I'm going to make it dark to scare you. It's like, no, come in.
Right.
I feel like I'd rather, if I have a ghost in the house, I'd rather they're a little like not so gung-ho about like talking to me. You know what I mean? Like, because this is like, he is wanting whatever is going on. The ghost is inviting you in.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Which is never a good thing, except Casper seemed
Well,
nice.
sometimes, yeah.
I mean, they were friends, right?
He was the friendly ghost.
Well, I guess that tracks.
He was. But didn't he have like some uncles or cousins or some shit? They were
fucking assholes.
Right?
Yeah. It's kind of a lesson that, like, you know, family's more than blood or whatever.
So I know he's hypnotized. So is he seeing through her eyes, or is he like astral projecting
her
himself?
presence?
Or
I don't know.
I don't. Because I mean, before when he's asleep, he's doing it kind of involuntary, right?
Yeah.
This time she put him under. How is he still able to see where
He's
she's
like
going?
warm. How the fuck do you
Yeah.
know?
What the fuck are you talking about?
You're in the living room.
Yeah.
He's just guessing. I don't know. And to answer your question, they've not explained it.
All right.
But it's effective.
Yeah, no, it is. I did enjoy all this.
I think it's the bringing of something like this is just a childish game.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody played as kids or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's this thing that is dark and creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, like the clap game
Yeah.
in The
Oh,
Conjuring.
yeah.
Like, you can very easily take something that's fun and innocent and make it fucking...
Yeah.
Like, I will never play this game with my kids.
Oh, never. We've seen what happens. It's funny you bring up The Conjuring because James Wan, in an interview with Collider, he had talked about how doing the first Insidious film, he brought stuff that he learned into The Conjuring.
Ah, all right.
Then doing The Conjuring, he brought stuff he learned into Insidious Chapter 2
Nice.
That's how it should
Yeah.
be.
to kind of grow. And,
Yeah.
But the other thing that's just like a little side note is that Insidious Chapter 2 came out 2 months after The Conjuring, so
God damn.
Yeah.
it was a busy
Yeah.
time for him because honestly, I think that he was prepping for Fast 7.
Oh.
Yeah, that's... pun intended. Switching gears.
Well played. But as soon as Elise steps inside the room, she's told that she's getting warmer. I'm laughing because JP's like, how do you know that?
Yeah. Well, because like I said, I know when he's doing it, he's not meaning to do it, but you know what I mean? It's him. She put his ass under. So is he following her around now? Is he able to get up from the chair? Is he...
I feel like if we even got one shot of him like seeing through her eyes or like follow or seeing behind her or something, like that would explain it. But yeah, like T said, they've not explained it.
I would say like hovering like an over the shoulder.
Maybe, yeah.
That's fine because if you're doing like a POV of Elise's hands opening the, you would have complained.
I would have.
So don't even suggest it.
Yeah.
So now she's fucking possessed.
Like, nay, please, you asked for this. But Elise looks around, even under his bed, but is somewhat unsettled when the closet door creaks open on its own. Josh tells her that she's getting warmer, and as she approaches the closet, he says, hotter. As she gets closer, he says it's very hot. Elise pushes the clothes aside and stares into the shadowed void that she's created. Josh begs her to get out of there, but she stands her ground, asking, who are you and what do you want? She breathes heavily, stepping closer, and after a moment of silence, something in the darkness growls and slices the inside of her forearm, and of course, Joseph Bashara's music goes fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Of course. I feel like she handles this very well for what it is. I know that she's in this line of work of like otherworldly shit or whatever. So like I get you not freaking out when the lights turn on or like there's growling or whatever. But she was like fucking attacked. Like she's bleeding right now.
Well,
and she's just like, oh, it's in the closet. Like, I mean, like
she got cut deep.
Yeah,
it's
that
bad.
fucked her up.
Yeah.
This takes it to a whole other level. And I'm not saying she was like super chill about it, but she was very,
Well, no.
she was more chill than I would have been. Even when you're used to freaky shit.
Look, I don't know why she put her hand in there.
Well,
I get it, cool, but
gotta
you
investigate.
already knew that this thing was not friendly. Don't touch it.
Well, I mean, you're literally, it's like the
It was growling. Maybe she was trying to pet it.
No.
It's like if I
That's
just
even-
calm this
yeah.
dog down.
Okay.
Oh,
it's
so
okay.
his friend's a dog.
Yeah,
And then, nah.
yeah.
It wasn't a dog.
But Elise rushes downstairs to tell the others what happened. I have to call out, I love the red light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming in from this window. They do a lot of interesting things with lights in this
Yeah.
film. Even whenever she's looking into the closet, there's a blue light that's hitting her face. It's just great. And I heard in interviews, James Wan was talking about how he kind of took inspiration from Italian horror, which is right up my fucking alley.
I was about to say, so he made this for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But Elise tells Lorraine that she's seen what's haunting Josh, and it's not a friend. It's a parasite, and she's never felt such a malignant presence. James Wan's like, malignant, huh?
Yeah.
But I can make something fucked up with that. No, but she's not feeling a presence. Like, you were literally fucking physically attacked.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I feel like you're really underselling the fact that you're bleeding right now.
She should have been like, I think someone broke in. And is hiding in your closet.
Someone knifed me upstairs.
You got a goddamn werewolf hanging out in your kid's closet.
It's a bigger deal than what y'all are acting like.
Yeah, and nobody's like, do you need a bandage?
Yeah.
You're bleeding out, at least.
She's just like in and out of consciousness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but if she's the only one that can her and Dude are the only one that can see it or kind of feel it. I mean, the mom's going to be like, where? And it's like,
I get
somewhere.
that, and I don't mean to tip my hand too early, but I don't feel like Carl is the most useful person on the planet.
No.
He's
I
got
get
a little
that
use.
she still has a job to do, but can we, like, I don't know, get her some juice or something?
Get her some orange juice.
Orange juice and a cookie, like when you give blood. She's lost a lot of blood.
Is what you're trying to say.
My point.
Well, my thing is, I do wonder along those lines that, we didn't see anything, but what did she see?
Right.
Did she see it happen in the closet?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you?
I do not. They've not explained it.
No.
But Elise says that the presence wants to be Josh. She says that she thinks Josh is getting into astral projection while he's sleeping, but in doing so, he's seen things that no living person is meant to see, and unfortunately, they've seen him too. Lorraine asks if she can stop it, and Elise says that she can suppress his memory, which would make him unable to astral project. Lorraine asks how, and Josh just slowly stands up out of his chair. He tilts his head as if he's listening to someone speak, and he says, "I'll show you." He walks into the hall and points at a door that slowly creaks open on its own.
You're grounded.
Yeah.
I put you to bed.
Sit your ass down.
You're fucking wandering around in your subconscious. Like, you are just doing too fucking much.
First of all, I mean, this is a lot for a mother to take on. But I love that your reaction to this is, that's it, go to bed.
And stay in your body, young man.
Please, because you've been fucking up, I've heard.
My question, though, I feel like it was a little confusing to me in the first one, too, because he's already traveled out. They've already seen him. Mm-hmm. So it's taking away his ability to see them really the most helpful thing. I know it also takes away his ability to travel, but they already know he's here.
Right, but if he's not out of his body, they can't
I get that,
into
but
it.
Elise wasn't out of her body, and she just got torn to ribbons.
She got
attacked. That's a lot.
Well, Elise fucked around and found out. I think that's the difference here.
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that he's still at risk for full possession,
Right.
but he's still in harm's way. Everybody
Right.
is, because he was out fucking around in the further.
Well, then don't go there.
Yeah.
He already did. He already did.
Well, I think that you're inviting shit if you're rocking out of your body every night and you're like, hey, what's going on, guys?
You're inviting possession.
Yeah.
Right, but if there's no need for them to be there because you're not out of your body anymore, they're gonna fucking go away.
Yeah, but I feel like they're like, we know he can do it. We just gotta wait.
I don't think they're that patient. What we learn in the further is that shit gets really bad if you don't find a vessel.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're going to look for you.
I guess. Well, I guess I'll let it slide.
Right, that lady's losing a lot of blood. We just gotta wait.
I guess
Hold?
I just feel like suppression isn't ever really an answer, more of like a Band-Aid.
Right.
So
Well,
like I'm already kind of side-eyeing. I don't know. I don't know.
We do learn that it was like a 30-year Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good life
I've
for a
never had
Band-Aid.
one that lasts for 30
It's
years.
usually like one day and then it's like in your bed when you wake up. But seeing Josh get out of the chair and walk to the hall, open up the door with what appears to be his mind,
Yeah.
Lorraine and Elise are pretty flabbergasted. And so they sit Josh back down in his chair, Lorraine telling Elise to do whatever she has to do to make him forget. The camera presses in on Josh's face, his eyes still closed, and then, accompanied by loud, shrieking violins, we get the title, Insidious Chapter 2.
It scares the shit out of me every single time.
I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm 30 years old. I watched this again last night to prepare for the show, and when that happened, I did mute the television. Because I had already watched it before. I'm like, I don't need that at 1 in the morning.
I already know what it is.
Yeah,
okay?
we get it, all right? Jeez, calm down. I did want to point out, I read in Starburst magazine, it's not a candy.
Well, it sounds delicious.
Yeah.
It does. My good friend Lee Winnell said at one point in the planning phases of this film, this whole thing was supposed to be the whole film, this prequel idea. And they were just going to do set in 1986.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But then I think they realized they're like, well, we really left things wide open.
Yeah.
So let's not do that.
Let's close that real quick.
But they got the best of both worlds because they did both.
Yeah.
But over more opening credits, we see locations, props, and set pieces from the first film, almost like a montage of previously on Insidious.
Mm-hmm.
Through the familiar houses and items, we also see lettered dice floating on their own and a rocking horse creaking in motion. Lastly, we see the red door in the attic of the Lamberts' first home opening slowly as the camera presses into blackness. The deeper it goes, the closer a scene of an interrogation room comes into view. I love this a lot.
I really like this. It almost feels like kind of the implication of the further kind of being everywhere.
Right.
Because we're coming in from like nothingness.
Right.
I thought it was very interesting. It was a really cool choice.
I'm assuming because like everything seems to have been done practically.
Right.
They had to have done this practically. I can see they probably did it with like a dolly or something.
Yeah.
Slowly pressing in. But the effect of it is just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And really effective for the story that they're telling. I thought it was a really, really interesting way to kind of be like, now let's get back into the real story or whatever, you know.
But we see Reneé Lambert, played by Rose Byrne, sitting across from Detective Sindall, played by Michael Beach. She summarizes the events of the first film. One morning, her son Dalton wouldn't wake up and doctors couldn't explain it. But when they took him home, weird things started happening around the house. It got to be so much that they moved, but even in the new house, it kept happening. Sindall asks if Reneé thought it was something supernatural and when they got in contact with Elise. She says that they only did that when they ran out of other options. This is when Sindall quotes her statement that she gave to the police, that Elise put Josh into a state of hypnosis as part of a ritual that would allow him to project his unconscious self into a spirit realm to find their son to bring him back to consciousness. He kind of acts like an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, listen, we don't need to get into specifics.
Yeah, I know.
When you say it like that.
Yeah, goddamn.
Some shit happened.
Yeah.
A lady is dead.
I said what I said. Yeah. All right? But he's like, I can't even read my own handwriting here. He's like, what the fuck did
He does say that.
It's very, very rude. Like, she's been through enough tonight.
Right.
But Sindall asks if she believed that Elise's plan would work, and Reneé says that she had to because it did work. They got Dalton back in a matter of hours.
They did.
Right.
Yeah. It worked and it worked well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. So Sindall asks what happened next, and in a flashback, we see Reneé discovering Elise's strangled body sitting upright in a chair in the living room of their second house.
So upsetting.
Yeah, it's and they show it so abruptly, like, remember that shit?
Yeah.
It's like, damn it, don't.
I didn't forget.
Yeah.
It's awful. But Reneé rushes around the house to find Josh, but only finds a camera on the floor. After picking it up and looking at it, and after a very sweet dolly zoom shot, she throws her hand over her mouth in horror. Josh Lambert, played by Patrick Wilson, puts his hand on her shoulder, telling her that he's right here. So this is where the first film ended.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is really like seamless to me because they filmed in a real house for the first film, and this is a set.
Oh.
And it was kind of like a replica of the living room of that house.
It feels the same.
Yeah, it does.
And they're all wearing the same clothes. It seems like, it almost feels like they filmed this part already to potentially use in a sequel.
Nice.
But they did not.
Yeah.
But having his hand on her shoulder, Reneé jumps back, recoiling from him. Lorraine Lambert, played by Barbara Hershey, and Dalton, played by Ty Simpkins, walk into the room as well. Lorraine obviously dismayed at the sight of her dead friend.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh shit, what's wrong with Elise?
That's fucking weird.
That sucks. But Josh finally notices Elise too and responds in a way that almost feels performative.
Yeah.
100%. It's like when you listen to 911 calls of like husbands who clearly killed their wives. Like that's literally what it felt like. Oh no. It's like, dude, stop
We know what you did.
Yeah. Stop it, Josh. You're making it worse.
But Josh tells Lorraine to take Dalton out of the room and to call an ambulance. Reneé just stares at Josh and he immediately gets defensive, asking if she thinks he did this.
The way, I don't know, it's just like knowing what we know. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious to me. He's like, you think I did?
Well, I think that there's two things for me that kind of are strange.
Yeah.
The first of which is that they didn't hear him in the first film when he's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, he is strangling the shit out of
and
her.
Screaming at her.
And Dalton's just slurping spaghetti. But the other thing is that it really looks bad because there's really no reason for Josh to think that she thinks he did
exactly.
this.
Right.
Unless he did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you think I did it? Why are you so defensive?
But she saw the pictures, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's confusing to me because...
That was something too, because he asks her if she thinks he did it or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, oh, no. You know he's a fucking ghost, dude. What are you...
Well, I mean, obviously you have to say no to the ghost face.
Well, I just want to point out that for all she knows, okay, they saw a lot of shit that night.
Right.
Which she talks about in a second.
Yeah.
But they saw a lot of spirits in the house.
Right.
So for all she knows, one of those spirits came in, Elise took a picture, and it killed her. There's no reason right now for her to think that Josh is also that person.
Well,
we know.
I mean, I guess. I feel like I would have been like, you're looking a little...
Yeah,
I don't know.
But there's nothing.
I feel like
but
as well as
didn't
she knows
take a picture of him?
She took a picture, but in the picture was the bride.
It turned, yeah.
But I mean, he's in the same spot.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He wasn't in the room.
I thought he was. Maybe I'm remembering the end wrong.
The picture is the bride in black.
No, I know, but I'm saying, didn't she take the picture of him and he was standing behind her in the living room or wherever they were?
So you're saying Josh never appeared in the photos?
He's not in the photo
okay.
because back in the interrogation room, Sindal shows her a picture saying that Elise took it moments before her death and asking who it is because it's the bride in black.
Oh, okay.
So that's the thing that I'm saying is like, there is no reason to think that Josh has anything to do with this, which is weird because now the audience has something over the characters in the movie.
Right.
Because we literally saw him strangle Elise.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think that kind of makes it a little bit difficult because we know something that they don't and they are completely ignorant of it.
Right.
But this whole time we're like, hey, Josh is a fucking like ghost.
Yeah.
It makes it a little for literally this moment. It makes it easier to be like, okay, Reneé, like I get it, you know, especially if she's not wanting to believe what we already know. Right. But as the film goes on.
No.
Yeah.
there are clear signs.
Yeah, no.
Even if like you believe him, there's clearly a ghost on board.
Yeah.
But Reneé says, like I had said earlier, they honestly saw a lot of freaky shit that night, and Sindal is not buying that it's a photo of a ghost. He says he's not interested in ghosts, only in the living people who make ghosts.
That was good.
That was a good line. It made me laugh because I never thought of like murder as the process of creating a ghost.
Yeah. But it is.
It is. But he puts a photo of Elise in front of Reneé, and in the photos, her neck is tore the fuck up. Like, I think they should have been looking for a velociraptor or something.
Shit. That was my next note. Damn, her neck is tore up.
Maybe it was the werewolf from the closet.
There you go.
He wasn't done.
No, he bided his time for fucking
30 years.
But Sindal says that those marks were put there by human hands, and he'll let her know if forensics matches those marks to Josh. But in the next scene, we see the Lamberts arriving at Lorraine's house, relieving the babysitter, played by Brooke Peoples, of her duties. Her name's Jessica. She pops up a lot.
She does.
And they even like give her a shot of her leaving the house, which I was like, that seems unnecessary. Like, I didn't think she was going to pop up so much.
Yeah.
They're like, she's an asset to this family.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I don't understand because the kids, I guess, need an excuse to not be here.
Right.
Yeah.
And for them to still be here, but then when they're here, you're like, well, why aren't the kids here?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like a little, I mean.
They're like, her, remember her? We shot her walking up the stairs.
Yeah, Jessica. We gave her an extra shot. But Dalton, as well as Foster, played by Andrew Astor, rush over to the family, excited over a tin can phone thing that they've made. You remember the string thing?
I was like, oh yeah, we have a second son.
Yeah,
I feel like this kid is like, because the baby's always getting snatched up by ghosts, and then fucking Dalton's running around in the spirit realm. Foster gets no love. Like I feel like this child is just grossly overlooked.
Or he's sitting in the back like, shit, I'm nobody's messing with me.
Paul.
Yeah. If I just sit over here with my train.
Fuck.
So I felt bad for him, but maybe he's really the luckiest child.
Yeah, he's like, you ever watch like reality competitions where there's like the sleeper that fucking eventually takes over? Like, where did you come from? That's Foster.
That's Foster.
I did feel very sad in the first film whenever he got that good grade on the test or whatever.
Yeah.
And he didn't show it to him because of all the shit going on.
And they're like, get that cat out.
But I mean, I don't know. Here, I feel like he has even less to do, though.
Maybe that's why I feel for him so much, because it's just like, okay, Foster, like, fuck off. I don't know. It feels very sad.
You ain't got no ghosts. Get out of here.
Goddamn.
No ghost is trying to abduct you or inhabit your body. Why are you here?
I feel bad. He's like, is there anything interesting about you, kid? He's like, Daddy, I made this phone. So it's, that's why I feel really bad. He's like, I'm an inventor, Dad.
I'm pouring one out for Foster tonight. That's sad.
But Josh puts baby Callie in one of those toy walkers, which lights up and makes a ton of noise before helping Lorraine by carrying their suitcases inside. The group leaves Reneé with Callie, who runs her walker right into the piano and cries very loudly before being scooped up by Reneé. So, again, this is one thing I really love about Leigh Whannell and James Wan. Mm-hmm. It's literally been like 1 minute, and they literally set up like 4 scares.
Right.
Yeah.
For later.
Yeah.
They're like, these are all these items?
Yeah.
You guys see all this shit?
So, I didn't think that the baby walked into it. I feel like the baby was pushed into the piano.
Well,
shit.
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
I thought that she walked, but it's possible that she walked over there for a reason.
Yeah.
That's a good point as well.
And we'll discover that.
Unnerving.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's not that unnerving.
It's sad.
We'll learn. Yeah. But that night, Josh puts Dalton and Foster to bed, telling them that they're going to be here at their grandmother's house for just a little bit while the police clear things up at their house. What an awful conversation to have.
Right. After they clean up the murder scene, we'll get to go home.
Look, something not so chill happened. Foster, I think you were with a babysitter.
Foster, I don't know where the fuck you were.
It really doesn't matter. But but you know, it's he's the middle kid, don't they always say?
Yeah.
That the middle kid kind of
It's just so sad.
It's very sad. But the kids learn that they're staying in Josh's old bedroom, but after he's asked if he's ever seen anything bad in there, he says that he never did, and neither will they. So I'm not sure if his memory's still wiped from that whole thing, or if he's just a fucking liar. Because literally, Elise, that closet right there, remember Elise, the woman who died tonight? Well, she
had an incident in that closet.
It's like, what?
It's okay, so it's either A, he doesn't remember, B, he's lying. I'm gonna go with C.
Yeah.
I think there's something else at
on
play
board.
here.
Yeah.
But Josh stares at Dalton for a moment, telling him that he's glad he's awake before shutting off the lamp and saying goodnight to his sons.
I'm so glad you're awake. Now go to sleep.
Yeah.
But the boy knows.
Yeah.
He's looking at him like,
something's off.
It's like, Dad, what the fuck?
But the second Josh leaves, Foster picks up the tin can phone and wants Dalton to try it out with him. I do have a little nitpick because Foster's like, look what I made. But literally, Dalton was there when you showed it to Josh.
Yeah, but let him fucking show off, man. He's got nothing.
Maybe I should be a little kinder.
Show it to everyone.
Dalton's like, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I had nothing to do with it. Yes, I
Dalton's
understand.
like, what's your fucking name again?
Yeah. But Foster asks what Dalton thinks of it, and Dalton, very reluctant to give it a try, says that he thinks it's stupid.
Wow.
And then the abuse.
Yeah. Foster's like, why do I share?
Give this kid a break.
But this is when Josh busts back in, and the kids immediately play dead. Josh just smiles and heads back out. After some exterior shots of the house, we find Reneé sitting alone in the kitchen, trying to get her mind right after everything that's happened. Suddenly, she hears the piano playing in the other room. She makes her way down the hall, calling out to Lorraine, and as she gets closer to the piano room, the music just stops. She opens the doors to find nobody inside, and the sound of a piano is coming from an old-timey radio. But that piano she heard before had way more bass in it.
Yeah.
So Reneé should know.
That's not what you heard.
Nice try, but no. But she shuts off the radio and heads upstairs to check on Callie after she hears her crying. She takes the baby monitor out of one of their bags and sets it on the dresser. I was laughing because I'm like, Callie's probably crying because there's a red light being blasted into her face. She's like Kramer with the Kenny Rogers sign. It's like, that's probably what's wrong.
I'm stressed.
Real quick, I know the piano, like you said, it didn't sound the same from the radio. I would be like, okay, you know what I mean? Because you hear that, then she hears the baby crying immediately as she turns it off, and then she's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't a coincidence. Something's still going on.
And I feel I feel like part of her knows it, but doesn't want it.
Right.
And so she's like, you know what? Maybe it was the radio. Yeah. that tinny ass radio.
It's easier for everyone if it was just the radio.
100%. But she could turn off that red light.
Yeah.
But as the baby monitor begins to click, it's probably one of the aliens from Signs.
They're like, it's not over,
dude. This is a warning from outer space. The further extends to fucking outer space, apparently. But Reneé once again hears the piano playing downstairs. She rushes back to the piano room, only for it to stop once again as soon as she reaches it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. She's completely over it, and she closes the fall board on the piano, covering the keys. As she turns to leave, she bumps right into Callie's walker, and it comes to life, sounding off very loudly until she Fonzies it off. She then hears Callie crying again through the monitor and heads back upstairs. But when she gets back into the room, she finds the crib empty, and Callie is on the floor.
So we all sleep in the same room from now on.
Yeah.
I mean, at least until we're sure, at least until our fucking house is cleared from the murder investigation.
Could help.
Maybe we should all sleep together because some freaky shit happens at night.
And the thing about a crib is that it's very easily moved.
Yeah.
And also a baby.
Right.
And you see their master bedroom in a second, but that bed's big enough for 4 people.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know what we're doing. You're going too quickly to pretend things are back to normal.
Yeah.
And I think she learned the hard way. But one thing I will say is that I know that some could excuse these scares as kind of like too similar to the scares in the first film, the piano, the baby monitor, etc. I feel like they're using our knowledge of those scares in a very interesting way to do different things.
Yeah.
Because it's the same pieces, but the puzzle looks different.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But Reneé busts into her and Josh's bedroom and is like, look, shit is obviously still happening. The piano is playing by itself. Someone left Callie on the floor like a candy bar wrapper.
Yeah.
Josh just posits... Sorry. Josh just posits that maybe she just crawled out. And then he asks...
Okay. What does he ask?
Has she ever done that before?
Yeah. Okay.
You're her fucking dad.
No,
yeah.
I was like, what's the name of the child? Callie?
Yeah.
Has she done this before?
He's like, look, Kelly is fine.
Just call the cops. Let him stay in jail a couple of nights. If nothing happens at the home crazy, then it. You know what I mean? You know it's him.
Just get Josh
you know
removed
from the
house. I was just... Has she done that before? I'm
if I said something about the kids, wouldn't you be like, are you fucking serious?
Yes, what are you talking about?
I think it just confused me because it's like you're showing your ass, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
you're horrible at this.
Have you ever possessed anyone before, man? But Renee's just annoyed, and Josh says that he just wants to move on and for everything to be back to normal. Reneé says nothing about this is normal. Things are still happening, and nobody is talking about the fact that someone murdered Elise. Josh is open to the conversation, though, asking if Reneé thinks that he did it.
Why do you keep asking me that?
I don't know. I think the funniest part is coming up here because she doesn't think that he did it, and he goes, good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know that
he's a ghost. You know that. You know
technically
that.
Scary, but his reactions to everything and his like, I don't want to give anything away, but as we go on, it's fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious.
I think my thing is like, this is where it almost begins to border, I don't want to say camp.
Right.
Yeah, almost.
But
yes.
The performance that he gives later and these little moments right now, I think that they had to know that they would come off as a little bit funny, right?
Yeah. They had to. Good.
Eyes all shifty, but for some reason Reneé is not even...
She's like, that's Josh. It's like, no, we saw y'all in the first one.
Right.
We know that you have like a good relationship. Y'all communicate with each other. Y'all joke around. It just felt very like, do you not even know him?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I do not know. But Josh has an explanation for everything. He says he knows exactly what happened. When he went into the further to get Dalton back, something evil followed him back and killed Elise.
But like followed me outside of my body though.
Yeah.
Like it followed like behind me.
We were never the same person. But he says that Reneé saw the things that came out of there. But he says nothing is going to bother them anymore. They have their family back, and that's what they should be focusing on. Reneé reluctantly agrees, and the two hug.
Don't just not. If you know something's wrong, please do something about it. Don't just let me be a ghost.
Oh, no, for sure.
Be a ghost. I think that's the thing again, because in this moment, we're just waiting for Reneé to find out.
Yeah.
We already know.
Yeah.
It's just, I just wish that they were doing a better job of being Josh.
Yeah.
Or like maybe waiting until she went to sleep to be shifty-eyed. I don't know. 'Cause it's just, it's too much. Like it's just too much.
Yeah.
Now we're looking at her like, how the fuck do you not see that this is clearly something's wrong?
Now, she is giving some suspicion.
Right.
And I did see on a featurette that during these moments where she feels suspicious, James Wan told her, because you got to ground it in some kind of reality, because you can't say, now, you might suspect that your husband might be like a ghost demon thing, but you don't know for sure, so action. You know? So he said, treat it like you think he might be cheating on you.
Okay.
All right.
And so you see her play that in those moments where her eyes are like, she knows something's going on.
Something's not right.
But not enough to say that she thinks.
She doesn't have receipts yet, so she's going to be quiet.
Exactly. Get his phone.
Yeah.
It's always on the phone. I've heard. But that same night, we watch as Specs and Tucker, played by Lee Winnell and Angus Sampson respectively, somberly head into Elise's house. As Tucker looks at an old photo of them in better times, Specs remarks that even though they have firsthand knowledge that there's something after death, all of their experience isn't helping him feel any better about Elise being gone.
This is so sad.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of your experiences with life after death are incredibly negative.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why you're not getting any comfort.
Yeah, because, I mean, we all saw that seance.
We've seen some, there's some freaky shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tucker sums it up, though. The living version of someone is always better. Specs solemnly agrees, but the men hear the door to Elise's reading room creak open on its own. Now, I know that I've said creak open on its own about 15 times already.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening.
That's really, and it happens a lot, so you probably will hear it more. But stepping into the hall, they actually see it opening and remember that Elise never kept that room unlocked. They head to the door, determining who will go in first with a round of Hunter Ninja Bear, which is just a funkier version of rock, paper, scissors.
Yes.
Specs wins, so Tucker heads downstairs after calling his loss bullshit. Now, it really doesn't matter because they head downstairs together.
Yeah.
So
Specs wins by playing bear, right?
Yeah.
While Tucker plays ninja.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean that Ninja beats Hunter? I'm just,
Right.
I don't.
But, you
The
know,
logic-
But Hunter beats Bear.
yeah.
Right.
See, it honestly makes perfect sense to me. I don't know what you're not getting. I think that it actually makes more sense than rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you do
paper
have a-
covers rock.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
No one can see it.
Yeah.
You're irrelevant.
But you realize how caveman it is that rock breaks the scissors. Scissors cuts paper. That makes sense.
Right.
But everything else is really fucking weird. And we might have to change the game we play.
Maybe we should reboot rock, paper, scissors
Yeah.
for the modern age.
I think it's about time. But they turn on the lights in the reading room, surveying all the items, including that S&M elephant mask from the first film.
Yeah.
I will say that is one thing that I do appreciate, and they talked about it in interviews. They really took very familiar things,
Right.
seances we've seen in films millions of times.
Yeah.
But they were still able to do something interesting with it.
Right.
Yeah.
You had never seen anything like that before.
Oh, no.
No.
And whether it's successful for you or not, it is unique.
Yeah.
For sure. Undeniably unique.
Yes. But Tucker opens up a book and turns on a TV, which are promptly closed and turned off by Specs. They balance each other out.
Right.
Yeah.
Tucker then stumbles into a room behind a curtain, somehow whacking his nuts on some videotapes.
that weren't even nut level.
No.
Like, I was confused by that.
And who walks nuts first?
Yeah.
Tucker.
Like, anyway,
Yeah, that guy.
like if I'm walking into the dark, I might have my hand out to make sure.
Yeah.
No.
But he's like, the nuts will take the brunt of this. But Specs turns on the lights and Tucker collects the tapes that his nuts toppled over. In the tapes, though, he finds one labeled Lambert Josh 1986.
So is Elise helping them with this?
I
Is
think
that what
so.
we're kind of...
That's how I took
Right.
it, because the door to the room opened.
Right.
Uh-huh. She's like, bring your nuts over here,
Yeah.
Tucker.
Just that tape happened to
Right.
be, that's how I took it.
Mm-hmm. She knew he'd be clumsy. It just works out.
Right.
Right.
I do want to point out, though, because we had talked a little bit earlier in the scene wherever they're upstairs kind of like reminiscing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really explore grief with everyone, and I think they should a little bit.
Right.
Because even when we see Lorraine later and Reneé, nobody really talks about...
No, that's what I think some of my issue with this movie is
Right.
that the people aren't acting the way humans would act.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everybody grieves the same. Like, even the way that Specs and Tucker are grieving, if this was just written as like another kind of movie, they'd be crying. It would be, like weeks later because they can't bring themselves to go into her house or whatever. Like, in a way that they're like, yeah, we still have shit to do, but damn, that's sad. I miss her.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is just like, well, I know that happened last night, but fuck that. Like, who's Elise? Who's fucking Foster? Like, they're all. It's just, I feel like it's the way that people act sometimes and the actions that they take in this film. It's just to keep the story moving.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think, because I would love to see a scene where Reneé is like, I'm sorry about your friend.
And
Yeah.
and the fact that was Lorraine's friend, she knew her for decades.
Yeah.
And she saved her really twice. Saved her family.
Right.
So it's just weird that it's just like, well, you guys want to come stay at my house? Like, it's just bizarre to me. I don't know.
I mean, they do kind of have some moments here and there, like you have this with them.
Right.
And there's a couple moments that come up later, but I feel like the Lamberts are going through a lot.
Right.
But there's still time to check in on the woman that's letting you stay at her house.
Yeah.
Right.
I
And the
mean-
fact that this woman died helping you get your son back.
Yeah.
Like, I would feel at least partly responsible for what happened to her.
I would say so. Josh more so.
Josh, maybe a little more than partly.
But yeah,
But you know what I mean?
for sure.
They're just like, man, that was fucking crazy, right? Anyway, Callie was on the floor.
Yeah.
It's just- I don't know. I don't know.
But the two men pop the tape into the VCR in the other room. We see grainy footage of the conversation at the beginning of the film. Tucker is savaging the framing of the shot, which kind of seemed like something I would do. So
Yes, it did.
But they fast forward through the tape, reaching the point where young Josh stood up and did the whole "I'll show you" thing. They rewind it, wondering who he's talking to when he turns his head, and this is when Tucker seems to notice something else within the frame. Back with the Lamberts, Lorraine wakes up having fallen asleep at her desk. The television is on, and I'm pretty sure it's playing Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, and the scene that's being shown is I've never seen Carnival of Souls. I don't know if this is a demon or a monster or something.
It's a great film that I will not spoil for you. So
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's whatever it is. It's approaching a woman like in the choking gesture.
Uh-huh.
So this felt, like what happened to Elise.
Yes.
Right.
I thought it was a little bit of overlap there
Yeah.
with that. Also, they did say in a featurette, the lead makeup artist said that the designs in the first film for all the ghouls that we find in the further
Right.
were based on Carnival of
Oh,
Souls.
very cool.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of like a twofer.
Yeah.
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 Also, Carnival of Souls, I believe, is on Shudder right now. Shudder, please sponsor us.
Shut up.
Like, come on. They hate us, I think. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like this is personal at this point.
Yeah.
Like, no, fuck those guys.
I don't know what we did.
We have a street team
Yeah,
Yes.
no
that's been
shit.
riding fucking hard.
I don't know what else we can do, is all I'm saying. But Lorraine shuts off the TV and heads into the hall, going into the kids' room to check on them. There's more of that red light coming through, which is fantastic, because the house is so dreary.
Yeah.
Having these little blasts of color is just very, very smart. But in his sleep, Dalton whispers, "I fell asleep, then I flew away." Lorraine's like, "Not so
Stop
fast."
it.
Yeah.
Stop it right now.
But she very sweetly asks him not to leave them again. He sleepily asks, "Grandma?" And after getting her full attention, he tells her that there's someone standing behind her.
You need to quit your shit,
Yeah,
Dalton.
dude.
Like, these kids just be trying it. And for Lorraine to have gone through this with Josh and then now with her grandson, it's I'm going to Florida. Like, I'm done.
I do want to point out that I don't believe she checks on Foster.
She doesn't fucking check on
Foster's like, I'm not fucking scaring anyone for no reason.
Nobody checks on Foster.
How fucking scary would that be?
Oh,
terrifying.
You know what I mean? If your grandchild was like, hey, there's someone standing behind you. He's like, oh.
After all this shit no.
Well, I believe him, firstly.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
And the thing is that I love how she just kind of gets up, turns on the lamp, and leaves the room.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, Dalton.
Yeah, like,
all right.
Like, hold on.
He's on his bullshit again. But she heads into the hallway and turns on a lamp there, too. In the hall, she hears a noise down below on the lower floor, so she heads downstairs and into the living room. This is another thing that I thought was interesting. They have a grandfather clock.
Yeah.
And it just ticks constantly, and it made me think of the metronome.
Hey, good point.
You know?
Yeah.
It's almost like the further is still here, but just like little,
you
know? But across the hall in the piano room, Callie's walker sounds off very loudly.
It is the loudest toy ever made.
Yeah, I don't know why this even exists, honestly. I don't know a kid that would enjoy this. I feel like it would just be there to make them cry. But Lorraine quickly rushes over to turn it off. She then backs out of the room, very frightened, but through open doors, she sees a woman in a white flowing gown walk by through the kitchen.
So thinking about this, watching this, so as it doesn't matter, I feel like at this, if you're a grandparent or parent or uncle or a cousin or whatever, if you see some shit like this in your family's house, where do you go with this?
My thing is that she initially thinks it's Reneé.
Right.
Which you did not see Reneé wearing this gown.
No.
So I think, honestly, after everything that you've seen, I might go upstairs instead of investigating it. Not to like go to sleep or anything. Like, fuck it. Yeah, never mind. But I think that because I know that there's nobody really in the house.
Right.
It's a fucking ghost.
Yeah.
So I would go and be like, hey guys, I hate to wake you up with such bad news, but
this shit ain't over.
Yeah. But she does not do that.
No.
She instead heads toward the kitchen, turning on every single light along the way, which I did appreciate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what I would do. But the music grows tense as she reaches the room, finding nothing. She heads to a nearby bathroom, running the faucet and taking a pill of some kind.
Probably, I would assume to sleep, to go to sleep.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if she was. I might as well trip.
Well, this night's shot.
Yeah, fuck it. But in the mirror, we see the woman again. Lorraine slowly turns around, and a breeze from an opened window causes the door to close.
Thanks a lot, window.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'd be fine. Because the window just saved me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, we don't need to see that.
Yeah. You're like, no, really, thanks a lot, window.
Lorraine lives alone in this big-ass house.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like, I would be scared.
I'd be over at their house all the time, too.
I was going to say, I'm sure crazy shit isn't usually going on.
I guess, but still,
it's like, man, after
huge.
Josh left, everything was fucking great.
Don't come back.
Yeah. I'll visit you. Okay?
Yeah.
Fuck. But Lorraine rushes to the door to open it, and when she does, she finds Josh. Filled with fear, she asks if Josh saw the woman, telling him that there was someone here. Josh is like, no, there wasn't, because if there was, that would scare my family, and they don't need any of that right now.
Oh, hell no, Josh.
Yeah.
No.
Y'all can go be in denial at a fucking hotel then. Like, I'm sorry. This is my house.
He's a ghost.
Was fine. Yeah. And then y'all came and now I'm seeing some fucking lady. And no, I'm sorry.
Well, I think my thing is that he has a point in a way.
He does, but the way he says it.
No, because he's like, do you understand? It's like, this is your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you understand? He's saying it like, look, we both know there's some shit going on.
Yeah.
But shut the fuck up about it. Like, that's how he's saying it.
He makes it even worse because when Lorraine calms down and she's like, it's probably just my imagination, he's like, get some sleep and leaves.
Then he mushes her face. It's like, who's the child here?
Yeah, goddamn. But the next morning, Reneé wakes up noticing Josh's empty side of the bed before stepping out herself. We cut to later that morning, and after Reneé feeds Callie at the dining room table, she looks outside where Josh and Foster are trying out that tin can phone.
Foster is finally getting his moment in the sun, but it does not last long.
No.
But I mean, it's again, you're seeing, I think, Josh be normal-ish, because it just devolves into horseplay.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of, they're having fun. You got a look on your face.
Because I just want Foster to be happy.
But Dalton sits down at the table, clearly in an awful mood. He tells Reneé that he had a bad dream. He said he was in his bed sleeping and his grandmother walked in, but he could see someone else in his room. We see the previous night's events play out, but when Dalton told Lorraine that there was someone behind her, we actually see the woman in the white gown standing there. It was very reminiscent of the moment in the first film where Lorraine tells her dream.
Yeah.
I thought, again, they're doing this interplay.
Yeah.
Right.
But Dalton says that he tried to wake himself up and eventually did. But after hearing voices in the hallway, he got out of bed and in the hall, he discovered Josh. We see Josh standing there, seemingly arguing with the air. He's like, "You've got to go. You have to leave." Dalton asks Reneé if there's something wrong with his dad.
Dalton, you're not allowed to go to sleep anymore. And yes, there's something very wrong with you.
You know it, man.
Yes, very clearly.
Yeah.
But Reneé tells him that there isn't anything wrong with Josh. They've all just been through a lot.
So that was a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Yes. Because immediately invalidating what she just said is Josh, who stands in the doorway in an absolutely frightening posture.
Yeah.
Calmly saying that he's going to take the boys to school, and he tells Reneé she should rest and relax, and then he's like, "Come on, son."
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Not only that, it's full daylight outside, and you were just outside playing in the dirt with your son. Now you're going to school? What time did you wake up?
Well, I don't know that ghost has ever been a parent.
Renee's like, "It's Saturday."
Yeah. Well, they don't normally go to school on Saturday.
The way he's standing with the light coming in behind him.
Yes.
And the way that the words that he's saying are right, but the way that he's saying them is not right.
It's like if you just read it on the page, you're like, okay. But everything about this is wrong.
He's like, "Why don't you relax?" It's like, are
oh
you
my
threatening
God.
me? It's just, I would not let my boys get in the car with him.
No.
Like, he's being very scary.
He even starts it off. He goes, "I'm going to take the boys to school."
Yeah.
What does
I'm
to
like,
school
oh my
mean?
God.
I'm frightened.
Yes. I do want to say that as this continues, it is clear that Patrick Wilson is having the time of his life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he gets to have a lot of fun. It's very, not to give things away too soon, but there's a lot of The Shining in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there is.
But in the next scene, we see Lorraine arrive at Elisa's house to meet with Specs and Tucker. I guess they just live here now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
But she tells them that whatever was haunting them isn't finished yet. She explains what she saw the night before and that she needs their help.
I appreciated that last night she was just like, yeah, no, I'm just seeing shit. But she's like, "Oh, I'm fielding this out because this is beyond me."
It's clearly not. I mean, the thing is that I understand that maybe you can see an apparition off in the distance and then nothing's there. You're like, okay, I've seen a lot of shit recently.
Yeah.
But the mirror bit, she was literally like standing in the hallway like, "Hi, Lorraine."
No, I'm really here.
Yeah, I'm actually a ghost, so... But Specs and Tucker take her down into the reading room and ask if she remembers Elisa's meeting with Josh in 1986. Lorraine says that she doesn't because she tried to block it out of her memory until recently. They jog her memory a bit, and Tucker shows her the digitized footage of it on his laptop.
Are we going to talk about the wallpaper?
Yes, we are. It is a picture of Specs, Tucker, and their friend James Wan.
I was like, wait a minute.
It's like a blink and you miss it thing.
Yeah.
I also laughed because they were using Apple products. So I was like, these are the good guys.
Yeah.
But we see a still image from the videotape of young Josh standing with his head turned to one side. Tucker brightens the image, and Lorraine steps away in disbelief. In the background, we see an adult figure, and Specs asks Lorraine, "Is that Josh?"
You know Josh.
Well, yeah.
I laughed out loud because I'm like, y'all fucking know that's Josh.
Yeah.
Like, why did you, instead of being like, we have something disturbing to show y'all know that's Josh.
Yeah.
But I gotta defend them a little bit.
No.
Because literally the thing is very grainy. You can't see his face. But he could literally say, "Were you dating anyone at the time? Is that your boyfriend?
Well,
was he there?
Were you dating
explain.
Patrick Wilson?"
Yeah. Is that Josh's father who he looks identical to? I mean, I get what you're saying, but they don't know.
Yeah, they did.
And it's honestly a creepier moment if they're like, is that Josh?
It's a creepier moment, and that's why they did it. It doesn't make sense. That's what I'm saying.
I like it.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. If I like it, it's fine. Yeah. But all three of them don't know how it's possible, and Lorraine laments the fact that Elise is not here to help them. They both turn to look at her, and she's like, what? I don't know why the scene just abruptly ends here.
Well, because they look at her like, now that you mention it, we have the stuff right here to get in contact with her.
And she should know that. We're literally in the reading room.
She's like, I'm sorry, I'm not following.
But back at Lorraine's house, Reneé is doing the laundry in the basement when she's interrupted by the phone ringing. Now, this was very interesting that I learned on the featurette. The basement that they're in Elise's house is constructed in such a way that on the other side of that set is the basement of Lorraine's house.
Oh, cool.
So this is literally just the same thing. I thought it was really cool. But as it turns out, it's Detective Sindall on the phone. He's actually got the results back from forensics. The bruises on Elise's neck do not match Josh. I feel like Maury Povich saying that.
Is this a standard call?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Casual phone call. Your husband didn't murder that lady. I just thought it was weird.
It's very strange to me because this goes nowhere.
It A, goes nowhere, and B, even if this was a standard phone call, they're almost treating it like Reneé is Josh's mother and like Josh is the minor.
Right.
Why wouldn't, if they're going to make this phone call, call Josh and be
That's
like,
true.
you were cleared.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is Reneé the go-between? I don't know. It's really
hey,
weird.
Tell your husband he didn't he didn't murder that lady.
I don't know. The whole phone call felt odd to me.
Well, if he's a suspect, I don't see why they would
but
tell
he's not
him.
anymore.
Well, right, but I mean, they interviewed her, so I guess I would see why they would tell her, but
I don't.
So if there was a chance that I had maybe killed somebody, you wouldn't want to know before me, instead of me being like, oh, I gotta wait. Well, that's what I'm saying.
She's
like,
he's like, get out of the house.
If the news was bad, I'd want to know.
If they tell Josh, he's gonna be like, okay, I got away with it. That's fine. But if she knows,
I don't know.
But I don't think that. Well, I mean, in this situation,
yes,
the ghost would be like, oh, sweet, yeah. But in reality, I think they would have to call Josh, right?
Well, no,
to clear him. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make any sense.
This I don't like.
We're not letting this one get by.
No. But as Reneé walks through the house, in the unfocused background of the living room, we see a woman sitting in a chair by the window.
Yes.
In the literal next shot, she's gone.
Yeah.
This is what I was talking about. That is just brilliant.
Yeah.
You easily could have missed that.
Yes.
I only saw it because I was like, okay,
Yeah,
you're walking for
look.
too long. There's going to be something in the background or in the periphery or something.
And there's no like music cue.
No.
It
You
just
could
kind of
easily
happens.
miss it.
I will say it was very funny on the featurette. You saw them film this.
Yeah.
And you saw that actress get up and run.
It's like, you got 2 seconds.
Yeah. It was all done practically.
Nice.
Love that.
But it did make me laugh. But Reneé is obviously pleased to hear the good news on the phone, and even though the detective says that they're not ruling anything out, she thanks him for the news before getting off the phone. My thing is like, the detective saying that they're not ruling anything out, then why did you call me?
Exactly. The phone call makes no sense. I'm telling you.
Like,
okay. No, you're right.
And honestly, I don't know how the forensic... Look, I understand that if you were to strangle someone, you can leave behind all kinds of forensics.
Yeah.
Right.
But the marks we saw on Elise's neck...
Well, he's like, and that was a human hand. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
No, are you sure about that?
I'm not convinced. But the way she thanks him, she's like, thank you, because my husband has been acting weird as fuck.
Yeah.
I needed some little reassurance.
She needed a win, dude. It's been nothing but losses. But Reneé kicks Callie's walker into the living room and then sits at the bottom of the stairs breathing a sigh of relief. The relief, unfortunately, is very short-lived because she sees Callie's walker move on its own into the hallway.
I feel like we can just go ahead and put that toy outside.
Yeah.
Like it's done enough.
Hasn't there been? Yeah.
Yeah, it's enough.
Can we get her a chair that's not annoying?
Yeah.
That's not
But Reneé cautiously walks into the living room, and in a wide shot, we see that there's nobody in there. She paces around these two back-to-back couches, and in her pacing, the woman in white, played by Danielle Bisutti, suddenly appears sitting with her back to Reneé. She begins singing, "Row, row, row your boat." Reneé takes notice as the woman's voice seems to double and distort.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
I'm running right the fuck grabbing my baby, who should have been in a bassinet right fucking next to you. I don't know why they keep leaving the baby in an undisclosed location while they're wandering around the house. But no, we're gone.
I was going to say that they're treating it like everything's back to normal, but the baby was just put on the floor last night.
Like a candy bar.
Like a candy bar wrapper.
That's what I'm saying. We're all sleeping in the same room, and that baby is literally never leaving my side. She doesn't have anything on. It's not like it's noisy. You can sleep right here while I'm sitting right here. Like, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry.
No joke.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, pretending like a problem isn't going on just because you want things to get back to normal. It sounds
I know, like, who would do that, right?
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah.
Definitely not the planet Earth.
No.
But the woman stands up, walking into the hall with a sly look on her face. Reneé rushes to meet her on the other side, but she isn't there. She then hears the woman's song continue through the baby monitor, and then hears Callie cry out. Reneé runs upstairs, but the door to Callie's room slams shut.
I told you to stop leaving that fucking baby alone. I said that in the first movie.
She didn't hear you, Reneé.
I'm fucking sick of it.
Were you trying to do some Reneé to Reneé, like telekinesis?
We can all talk mentally.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I couldn't reach her.
I've never called you Reneé. That felt weird as shit.
My problem was she sat there and listened to the rest of the song, then called out to the baby like the baby was going to be like, help!
Yeah.
I was like, dude.
She's in here.
Yeah. Mom! Why? As soon as I heard the lady disappear and then the voice on the monitor, I'm darting up the stairs.
Yep.
There is no, hold on, I want to hear this next line. You know what I mean?
This is the best part of the song.
It's like, wait, gently down the street?
Holy shit.
What does this boat do next?
I gotta know.
But from behind the door, we hear the woman remark, "What a beautiful little girl," before shouting, "Don't you dare!" And we hear a slap, which causes Callie to cry harder. Reneé busts in, but Callie is nowhere to be found. After hearing her cries downstairs, Reneé runs back down, only for the walker and a stroller to launch into the air on their own.
This is when I'm like, okay, this has really just gone to the next level.
Yeah, and
furniture's fine. Like, what the fuck is going on?
I think that was the thing, is that it's just, I don't want to say overboard.
It's overboard. I'll say overboard.
But everything that was going on is plenty scary on its own.
Oh, yeah.
But then they're like, well, check this shit out. Whoop, bam! And fucking throws it. It's a lot.
You're getting all these warnings.
Yes. And it's honestly invalidating every single thing that Josh said the night before, pretending that everything's back to normal. It's like, well, then who fucking launched the...
Yes.
And also all the other stuff.
You know?
What's funny was that when she was getting the door to, she stopped to listen to what she was saying. I don't give a fuck what you're...
No.
I'm going to keep kicking that door down.
Yeah,
you
She's
know
like,
what
oh, she thinks she's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude.
Oh,
well,
she wasn't trying to hurt her.
At least she's complimenting.
Yeah.
But Reneé screams and runs into the living room looking for Callie. The camera swirls around her, and out of nowhere steps the woman in white. She once again screams, "Don't you dare," at Reneé and slaps the absolute shit out of her, sending her crashing through a table.
Bam, bitch went down.
The abruptness at which she appears always scares me.
Yeah.
I always jump every single time.
I mean, she kind of deserved that, though.
Reneé? No.
For not taking care of her kid.
Yeah. Well,
Let this be a lesson.
I really didn't even think about that, but you're right. Why does she not have the baby with her?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
I'm even saying I wouldn't be over the whole situation that happened in the first film.
Right.
No.
With, the dude standing there. I mean, it's just... I would not be ready for her to just be like, I don't know.
Just freestyling it.
Call me a helicopter parent. Freestyle it.
No, she's got her red light. She's fine.
Babies love that light.
But back at Elise's house, we see Carl, played by Steve Coulter, arrive. He's introduced to Specs and Tucker and gives Lorraine a hug, Lorraine saying that it's been a long time. Tucker says Elise talked about him a lot, saying that he was the second best person she ever worked with. Carl's cool with that ranking, but sadly says that he had been meaning to contact Elise, but kept putting it off, and now she's gone. Lorraine says that this could be his chance to say a proper goodbye, but he doesn't think that they should do anything.
Yeah.
Lorraine says that they have questions, and the only person with answers is Elise. She asks him for help. Downstairs in the reading room, Carl empties a bag of dice, telling the group that everyone has their methods for speaking with the dead, and this is his. He asks questions, and they answer him with words in the dice. This I think it's very interesting, but it's also quite possibly the most ineffective way to talk to spirits.
Right.
Well, because you're like very limited,
yes.
A, and B. I mean, it is really, really cool visually or like to watch in a movie or something, but I'm trying to think like practically.
Yeah.
And like half of the ones have like runes on them and shit. It's like, you can read that or not?
Well,
like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm assuming.
I mean, depends on who he's contacting.
Yeah.
He's like,
I got different languages here.
He's like, yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
He's like, these dice are for the Elder Futhark. If I go to that midsummer festival. But
you can't be too prepared.
I think the problem for me is that the majority of the time the words are spelled out, but they're missing letters.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are we even doing this? Get a Scrabble board.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
I see where you're coming from. I only liked it because of how it works later in the film.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, if we can do that every time, then there is no mistake. It's just, this is what's going on.
Yes.
You know?
And I mean, it's, again, like Nay said, visually, it's very cool to see.
Yeah.
But practically.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying. And I know it's not like, okay, this is where I draw the line. Because a lot of this is obviously insane. Or like, this is not everyday shit that you're going to encounter or see.
Yeah.
But it just feels like, I just imagine him going about his daily life or like getting these calls where he has to help. And he's like, I only have 3 E's. It's like, I can only do so much.
I think we're just going to ask yes and no questions from now on.
Which you could just do with a Ouija board.
Yeah,
like a Ouija board is more practical than this.
It is, but again, a Ouija board takes longer.
Yeah.
You're like, F-U-C. Oh, this. God damn it.
You're just being
you
rude.
fucking asshole.
This is a prank message. Prince Albert. What the fuck is he talking
No, I do not have him in the can. But I think the thing is, again, like I said, with the mask that they use in the first film, it's familiar things that they're subverting by showing it in different ways.
Yeah.
So I understand. But Carl puts the dice into a cup and shakes them up. He calls out to Elise, dropping the dice. After getting gibberish, he tries again. After failing to get a response at that time, he's like, look, let me level with you. This is not an exact science.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, no shit, dude. You're using dice to contact the dead. He says sometimes contact flat out cannot be made. He asks again if Elise is here, and just as he drops the dice, all the lights go out. Every electronic device in the room emits some kind of light or sound, and the TV turns itself on before shutting off. Specs gets up to check something, but Carl sits him down, telling him not to break the circle.
That made me laugh because he's like, I'm going to go to the store. I'm like, what are you doing?
I don't know what he could check.
He got scared.
Yeah, literally something's happening now. And he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. It's like, where were you going?
And I'm sorry, but this is 10 times less scary than what happened with Dalton's room.
When you were being a fucking sketch artist and shit.
But he's like, okay, this is too much for me. Maybe he just reached his limit.
No.
You know? But candles flicker as Carl moves errant dice away, revealing the word yes. He asks Elise who killed her, and in the dice he reads, she did.
Now is not the time to be vague.
Yeah, God damn it. The lamp above them begins to sway as Carl asks what she wants. Tucker sees the word kill. Carl asks where she is, and the dice reveal that she's hiding. The S&M elephant mask begins to whisper sweet nothings over Speck's shoulder as Carl asks where she's hiding. The dice hit the table but spell nothing. He once again asks where to find Elise's killer, and Specs sees the words Our Lady Angles in the dice and is like, what the fuck does that mean?
Stop it. You knew the fuck.
Lorraine tells him it's Our Lady of the Angels. It's the hospital where Lorraine used to work.
Specs is like, Our Lady Angles, we're looking for a mathematician.
That's even scarier.
It's like, come on, dude. You know what that is.
But back at Lorraine's house, Josh arrives home and finds Reneé, picking her up and putting her on the couch.
Poor lady, dude. Nobody's checking on her. She's just there.
Lorraine's gone.
Yeah.
Josh, I don't know where the fuck Josh is.
Yeah, what is he?
He's like, I'm going to take the boys to school, and then I'm also going to school. Wait, no, he's a teacher. Okay, I guess it makes sense.
Well, but he's also a murder suspect, so I imagine he took some days off to kind of deal with that.
Right. He's like, no, I'm going to go work with kids.
But when Reneé doesn't wake up immediately, Josh kind of smells her a little.
Yeah, I was a little confused about it. I'm like, she's hurt. Why are you sniffing her?
Well, we know why.
Yeah, we know why.
I mean, I know, but it's just, come on.
That was weird. But I'm just like, he's kind of fucking up with Josh.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
So is this a moment of him being like, maybe I should jump ship? Like how far gone is she right now?
Like he
Right.
picked the wrong vessel
Exactly.
or something. But I mean, she doesn't have the powers.
Why else
Yeah,
is
I
he sniffing her
think-
tea?
Because he's... I can't say why yet. Just give me a few more pages. We'll find out. But Lorraine, Specs, Tucker, and Carl show up to the hospital, now abandoned, absolutely trespassing.
I was like, so they just broke in?
Yeah.
I asked your sister too. I said, okay, did I miss something in the cut? And she was like, oh no, they were just in there.
Yeah, no.
We don't even get like a scene of them climbing in a window
Nope.
or something. They're just in there.
Yeah.
But they got their flashlights on and they're moving through the halls. Specs has a camcorder, and we kind of get shots intercut with the regular film.
Yeah.
Almost like a little found footage feel.
Yeah.
I did want to point out, and I was like totally dismayed because I read on IMDb something that is completely wrong, which...
That sucks.
Yeah. They said this is the same hospital where they filmed Halloween 2.
Oh, wow.
It's not.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
The disappointment. It's not true. Oh,
Yeah. Aw. The hospital that they filmed this film in is called Linda Vista, and it's kind of a notoriously haunted location
Ooh.
in Los Angeles. Like, they have ghost tours and
Yeah.
everything. It's actually on a ghost tour while they were planning the first film that Lee Winnell got the idea to use this hospital.
cool.
Nice.
So it's like very cool. But Halloween 2 was filmed in Morningside Hospital and the Pasadena Community Hospital.
Right.
So I don't know why they said that. But long story short, if you read something on IMDb, there's a good chance
Double
it's not
check
true.
it.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, because I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, do they mean Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? And I looked it up and it was filmed in Georgia. So I was
not
like,
even.
oh, well,
Yeah, not
what the
even
fuck?
that.
But the group moves through the halls, wondering what they're even looking for. Carl asked Lorraine to think of everyone she knew while working here because there obviously has to be a reason. They move through the rooms, Specs accidentally stepping on a clearly haunted doll.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
Already.
We're good. But the group stops when Carl notices something in the doorway of a room. He stands there for a moment, receiving visions of the bride in black, the ghost that haunted Josh in the first film. Carl tells the group to head into the room, and they do, and we learn from Lorraine that this room used to be the ICU. But in a flashback, young Lorraine and young Josh walk through the brightly lit, well-populated hospital halls, discussing what they should have for dinner. They step into the ICU, Lorraine conferring with a nurse to check in on one of her patients. So I finally understand why Lorraine's house is so amazing.
Right.
She's a whole ass
fucking
doctor.
Yeah.
Also, I did want to point out that according to Collider, this hospital that they were filming in, they had identical floor plans. So they had one that was all made up for the flashbacks, and then one that was
How
all dilapidated.
cool. Oh, very, very
Nice.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
So it really, the transitions are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just made for them. Also, I did read that the hospital is now senior living apartments.
Oh.
Aw.
So, I mean, it's still a haunted
Yeah.
building. But Josh looks over at Parker Crane, the patient in bed played by Tom Fitzgerald, before turning to look at the machines monitoring his vitals. So this actor is credited as Tom Fitzgerald, but his name on IMDb is Tom Fitzpatrick. So I think someone fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. My question here is this appropriate for her child to just be wandering around an ICU ward?
Yeah.
He's just pressing buttons and
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. Well, but I mean, where else is he going to go?
In her office. She's a fucking doctor.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of.
She's like, no, come make my rounds with me. Press all the buttons. You know, it's ICU. It's fine.
You might see some freaky shit. Who knows? You might get scarred for life in a second.
I'm like, I feel like this is grossly inappropriate
Yeah.
behavior.
It probably is. But I mean, I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to judge. But the beeping on the machines increases, and when Josh turns around, Parker is up and awake. He grabs Josh and screams loudly as Lorraine and the nurse try to pull him away. 2 other doctors have to come in and help, and Lorraine finally rescues Josh away from Parker's clutches and holds him close.
She's like, oh, this is why we aren't supposed to bring people down here.
Maybe the office wasn't such a bad idea. But we watch as young Lorraine heads into the elevator, where present-day Lorraine says in a voiceover that she saw Parker again a few days later, but this was the last time. Just before the elevator doors close, Parker walks in wearing a trench coat.
I liked his disguise.
Well, I mean, he can't just go full hospital gown. Then everyone will know. But Lorraine very easily realizes who he is and tells him that he should be resting in bed. Muzak plays overhead as Parker just faces forward. Lorraine then apologizes for Josh's behavior the other day, but still gets no response from Parker.
I love that he literally attacked her son, and she's like, look, I know he's a little short. My bad. I just even brought him here.
He can be... But the elevator opens, and Parker walks off into a doorway just into the shadows. This always creeped me out.
Yeah.
That shot is just... I don't know, it's terrifying. But Lorraine continues on a little further, asking Hillary, the nurse at the front desk played by Edwina Findlay, why Parker is up and walking around. Hillary is confused, but Lorraine says that she just rode down in the elevator with him. Hillary finally explains, Parker Crane died yesterday morning. He jumped to his death. In a transition, like I said with the sets, I'm assuming is practical, the camera dollies into the next room, returning us back to present day.
Which is very cool. And I live for he's been dead for 25 years reveal. Right. I love that shit.
It's like a creepypasta.
Now let's, like the jacket was on her grave the next morning type of shit. I like that. But again, I'm trying to think practically in the sense of this actually happening in the context of the story.
Right.
Yes.
What kind of hospital is this? That this man jumped to his death and nobody's talking about it. On top of this is Lorraine's patient.
I was going to say, she's his doctor. Yeah.
This is fucking absurd. And I don't mean to like burst bubbles or anything. This is completely, and I know we're talking about spirit realms and shit. Right. This is unbelievable.
The further I'll believe. That's definitely there. But
the prospect that she's working all day.
Right.
She doesn't notice, she didn't make any rounds because Parker died yesterday.
Right. And
she didn't make any rounds to see that he wasn't there. She's just like, hey son, why aren't you in bed? Like it was
son.
I don't know.
It's like twice her age.
Why aren't you in bed, little one? Yeah, my kid's a fucking jackass, right? Yeah. Like I just it makes no sense. That's all I'm trying to say.
I didn't mind it because for me it was that tell him Large Marge sent you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, all right.
Very cool reveal, but it has its place in creepypasta, right? Or in like campfire story. We can't be expected to believe this.
It's very funny that you said campfire story because on a featurette I saw in a Q&A that Leigh Whannell and James Wan felt like they had run out of all their good scares with Insidious, and so they were trying to figure out new ways to scare the audience. Mm-hmm. And a lot of their scares came from telling original ghost stories back and forth. Yeah. And then finding out what could work and put into the movie. And I feel like this has to be one of them.
It has to be. It has to be.
But I will say that much like with every single creepypasta I've ever read, there are some holes there. Yeah. So it's fine. But Carl asks why Parker was in the hospital in the first place. And Lorraine says he was there because he tried to castrate himself.
This is at the top when I had talked about part of it being problematic. Mm-hmm. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's not, I don't want to say it's not revisited again because I guess it clumsily is if you want to put these two things hand in hand, right? Which they don't necessarily go hand in hand.
No.
Again, I can't speak more concretely because we haven't gotten there.
Right.
But it's problematic.
Right.
This being kind of a throwaway statement that carries a lot of fucking weight that isn't addressed or properly contextualized within the story.
Right.
It's a pretty dangerous, I don't want to say cliche, but almost overly used, you know.
Well, it's a trope. Yeah.
And it is dangerous for the fact that there's no proper context for this very big statement that we're just going to throw out here and never talk about again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily marry well with the material.
No, it does. That's why I'm like, why couldn't he, maybe have tried to hurt himself another way or tried to, or maybe he had gotten hurt by something while he was doing something.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just a very big... Can you guys fucking believe this? I don't know. I didn't like it.
And I do also want to point out that he is a very old man, so maybe he's just in the hospital.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like it could have been anything.
Yeah. I don't know. There is one issue that I have that maybe if it were explained better would explain this better, but none of it is explained properly or to my satisfaction at least.
Right.
And I'll kind of get to it. I can't really talk about it yet, but I'll get to it later where I'm like, could this be happening instead? But again, that's not.
No.
It's not explained.
And my thing about it as well is that when I say that it doesn't marry with the material of the film, I mean kind of because it's been like a spooky fun situation.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they just kind of dump that on you. But it also doesn't marry well with the characterization of who we learn Parker to be.
Right. That's what I'm
And-
saying. If you're trying to make that the same thing, because it's not.
Yeah.
No.
But if that's what you're trying to do, you still didn't explain it right
No.
or properly.
And it also fucks with the entire motivation behind everything that this character is doing.
Right.
So I feel like it was just not
Necessary,
necessary
warranted,
or
appropriate.
successful in any way.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, back at Lorraine's house, Josh groans standing in the mirror. He then reaches into his mouth and pulls out a loose tooth.
What the fuck?
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
Well, if you're confused as to what's going on, we will learn exactly what's going on in a matter of seconds. Josh begs, "No, not yet." And from behind a shower curtain, the woman in white very plainly says, "Your dead soul is killing his living skin." Josh says that he wants to live, and she says he can, but only if he kills them. He cries out, "Please, mother, don't make me do it." She tells him he has to, or he'll waste away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got it. I get the tooth now. What does him killing the rest of the family, how does that preserve Josh's body?
Because The Shining, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Got it.
I think my thing is maybe the killing kind of satiates the demon soul.
Right.
And maybe gives it the power to not fall apart.
Maybe.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I will say I don't appreciate the conversation that's had here at all.
No, I don't.
But if you needed it because you're like, wow, what we're doing really is confusing and people are going to get lost.
Yeah.
Now is not the place for it.
No.
Because something happens in a minute that it's like, but we already fucking know.
Yeah,
You already
yeah.
told us.
And it's just funny that she's in the shower and she's like, "Okay, here's why that's happening."
I know this is
I know this fucking
this is
sucks.
confusing.
But I think that is my main issue is that look, we already know that Josh has a ghost demon on board. That's
Yes.
fine. That's fine. But now we know that not only is it killing him, but he has to kill the family for the spirit to Nosh. And we kind of just give everything away in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
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 Which I would have liked to have organically learned. And we've already got this cool like Scooby-Doo mystery thing going on
Yeah.
at the hospital. That would have been a much better avenue to learn more about what is going on here.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know the screenwriting process or what was cut or what was asked to be changed. So
I mean, that unfortunately, that is always a factor. But I can only go on the plate that was placed in front of me, and I'm just moving it around. I'm not eating it.
you're Tony Soprano.
I'm Tony Soprano, just moving the food around.
But back at the hospital, Tucker finds Parker's patient file and they go through it. Just a sidebar that I learned from the featurette. A lot of the stuff that's in this hospital is just in this hospital.
Oh, wow.
So these are real records.
Oh,
Cool.
nice.
I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
But they find Parker's address in one of the files, and Carl posits that there's something there.
What did you guys think of it being somebody that she knew when they were alive?
I'm kind of okay with that because having Parker meet Josh
Yeah.
makes it make a little more sense.
So when he goes in the further, it's like, I know that little asshole kid.
Yeah.
He was in my room.
He was fucking with the machines.
Well, I'm kind of with you. It did work for me, and I'm glad that they didn't have like a big kind of relationship, so it wasn't like,
That
oh, it
would
was
be
somebody
too-
we know
yeah.
the whole time.
That would
Yeah.
be
It was
way
just
too much.
kind of like it was a patient that she knew and helped and or tried, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I have a different kind of take on what happened here, and I'll say it a little later. But I'm with you. This did kind of work for me.
Okay. I think we might be on the same page,
Okay.
but we'll find out. But back at Lorraine's house, Reneé wakes up screaming and Josh rushes in to calm her down. She asks where Callie is and Josh says that she's in her room sleeping. Reneé doesn't believe him and heads upstairs to see for herself. She finds Callie in her crib, just like Josh said.
So this was weird to me because the baby was gone.
Yeah, like disappeared.
So it was the woman just like, no, I'm just playing. Like after she bitch slapped Reneé, I don't know. It just didn't make. I was like, no, she's not. She's not. And then she goes in the room, and I was like, oh, the baby's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
It was just weird.
Right.
Well, did she actually hit the baby, or was that just?
I don't know, but she hit Reneé,
Yeah.
and the baby was gone because when she went in there, she was gone.
You know, some questions I think just don't. But after giving Callie a quick hug and hold, or whatever that cradle thing is called, I'm not a parent, but they head outside into the hall, and Reneé explains that she was attacked by a woman in the living room. She says they need to get the kids and leave, but Josh reminds her that that didn't work last time. He says they need to just relax and just not be afraid. Reneé is not about that life and says there are ghosts everywhere. It's like they're already dead. Josh is like, no, it's not.
Josh is like, it's not at all. It's not like I'm dead and possessing your husband.
Right
like,
there.
Come on.
I was like, there's a flag on the plate. Because he does. He's like, no, it's not. And it's like,
God damn it, dude.
Whoa.
You're so bad at this. He tells her that it's nothing like being dead. He's seen that. He says that these things want what they have, life, but they have no power over them. Just ignore them and they'll go away. This method actually has Paul Anka's guarantee.
I was just about to say, just don't look. Just don't look.
But their conversation is interrupted by the sound of the piano playing. Josh and Reneé head downstairs, but the music stops as soon as they get to the door. Reneé stands at the piano, recognizing the chords that she heard. She begins to play the song that she was writing in the first film. Josh is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
He's like, what's that shit you're playing?
What the fuck is that? She tells him that that's the song that's been playing. He's like, what song? What are you talking about?
I'm just like, read the room.
Yes.
What would it hurt for you to be like, yeah.
At least pretend.
Yeah.
But she's very confused.
Yeah.
And she reminds him that it's the song that she wrote for him. Josh, realizing he's fucked up, is like, look, it's not about the song.
Yeah. Is he a ghost now or what?
Like,
oh my God, lady.
clearly.
Don't you see what's happening?
So clearly. It's like, it's not the song we should be worried about. He says there's somebody in this house, and then he leaves the room. Reneé watches him go into the living room and pick up a baseball bat. I don't know what he plans to...
Yeah.
But elsewhere, the crew breaks into Parker's abandoned house.
I love that we're just casually breaking into places.
And Tucker's joking around. He smashes the window and he goes, they left the window open. I'm like, dude, you are trespassing.
Yeah.
But once inside, Carl stops for a moment. He clearly feels something is wrong here and sums it up by telling the group that not many good things happened in this house. They venture on, coughing at an awful smell. Specs and Tucker head upstairs where they find an old-fashioned baby carriage with a doll inside. In more handheld shots, they break into one of the rooms, and Tucker assumes that it's Parker's bedroom. Specs notices a dollhouse, saying it's a little too girly for a boy's room, but Tucker retorts that he had a dollhouse growing up, and that this one right here is a Rhode Island Red.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I actually like that back and forth because Specs got his ignorance checked immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, good.
Yeah.
But when they turn to leave, several wooden horses covered in cobwebs rock in unison.
I was laughing because they turned to leave and it looked like they were nodding like, yes, go, get the fuck out of here.
Trust me, dude.
I'd do it. I'd be scared as fuck, but I'd go in there.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be super scared, but I mean, if somebody was like, no, let's go together. You're not leaving me. Let's go together.
Yeah, no, we're holding hands.
Yeah.
But then we need to get out.
I think I would go, but then the second those horses started rocking, I'd be like, yeah, let's
I'm going to listen to the horses.
We saw what we needed to see.
Yeah.
But behind them, a child runs by screaming, "This is my room." Specs lowers his camera, and in the upside-down shot, we see that child with pigtails in a dress sitting on the bed, facing away from them.
Do you want to know how fucking, like, I don't want to say traumatized, but salty I still am. I thought that was Annabelle for a second.
You're like, you're in
and
this
I was
too?
Like, I'm turning this off. I was like, this is not even the right franchise.
No.
Like, you need to calm down.
You're like preemptively mad.
Well, that's how evil she is.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, I'm haunting shit you like.
I'm not
But the child tells them that they can't be here and says, if she sees you, she'll make me kill you.
All right, I'm going to head out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the line.
The men promptly leave. But Specs does peek his head back into the room and sees that the child is gone. Back at Lorraine's house, Dalton is asleep in his bed. He hears a voice coming through the tin can calling his name. The voice says that it has something to show him. Assuming that it's Foster, he's like, go to bed. You're going to get us in trouble.
It's clearly not Foster.
No, it's clearly like a woman's voice.
See, this is what I'm saying. They don't even know this boy's voice.
No.
And didn't he make these damn cups in the string? He's not even using them anymore.
Foster made
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like,
Foster's
give him
like,
his credit.
I got this cup and ball now.
No, yeah. He's like, check out what I made. He's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thanks, kid.
You mean check out what
Yeah,
I
this
made?
is my prop now.
The ghost is like, I'm not Foster.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Even the ghost is like, who the fuck is Foster?
Do you pay attention to your brother at all? Like, goddamn. We've been watching for a while.
Yeah.
And
This is neglect.
But Dalton immediately turns on the lamp next to his bed. He follows the string with his eyes and discovers that the other tin can is inside the closet, both doors slightly ajar. The can lifts, causing the line to go taut. Dalton whispers for Foster to wake up, but to no avail. Foster's like, oh, so now you want to?
Yeah.
Now I fucking exist.
Oh, cool,
Okay.
great. But the doors creak open, and Dalton bravely whispers into the can, who are you? The voice responds, the ones he killed. We are many. He asks what they want, and a ghoulish girl busts out of the closet running for the door. She turns to Dalton, filthy, and begs him for help. Her screams come through the can, sounding far away and distorted. There's very cool sound design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. But she runs back toward the closet, and so Dalton turns his head, but he finds dozens of people surrounding him. He realizes that he is once again astral projecting, standing at the side of his bed. As the ghouls reach for his body, he hops back in bed, screaming as the ghouls tear at his sheets. As the sheets rip away, they reveal Reneé, who has woken Dalton up and holds him as he cries.
Dalton's like, too fast.
Foster looks so funny when he wakes up and looks over because he's like, oh, what happened? You were awake that whole time, dude, hiding under the blanket.
Oh, fuck yeah.
He's like, if I just wait, they'll take him.
No,
I'd be
business.
like, I'm going to have to insist that I get my own room.
Yeah.
Like, this is too much.
Yeah.
I did laugh now that I come to think of it, because when he does wake up, he kind of looks like, this better be important.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Dalton again.
Yeah,
this fucking
right,
bullshit.
again,
I'm
dude.
sick of it.
Yeah.
The Dalton show, okay?
Yeah. But Reneé comforts her son, telling him it was just a dream, but totally knowing that it wasn't. I did like that transition shot between the further and reality.
Yeah, for sure.
They do that really well.
Yeah.
But downstairs, Josh sits alone in the piano room. He says, you're trying to reach her, but you won't. He stands, still holding the bat, and remarks, shadows are your home now.
Yeah.
Really just insult to injury.
Yeah. But he leaves, and the camera pans over to the piano, where we quickly cut to the same room, but in the further, as the real Josh sits at the piano with a lantern, screaming for help.
Josh is like, Skinner,
Yeah.
I'm in here. But listen, though, this would have been such a brilliant reveal if we didn't already see him pulling out teeth and talking to Mother in the bathroom.
100%.
If there was any way that they could have maybe made it ambiguous that is something going on with Josh, or like, is he trying to fight it off? If there was any way that it wasn't so concrete, this man is fucking possessed. He's ripping out his teeth. This would have been such a fucking beautiful reveal that Josh is stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
It would have been brilliant, but it was really undercut by him ripping out and being like, I'm certainly not a killer.
Yeah.
But didn't at the end of the movie when he was choking Elise, you seen that it was really the ghost?
No, it was, but I feel like if there was, I don't know, any kind of way that maybe he's fighting it or he's not fully possessed or I don't know, that maybe Josh is still in there somewhere. This would have been so like, it's so sad because he's trying and they're just like, oh my God, there's ghosts in the house. But it's him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. This would have been a really brilliant reveal if we didn't already fucking know like 10 times over.
And we know clearly.
Oh yeah.
You
No,
know.
there's no room for doubt.
I think that one thing that kind of makes it a little difficult is, of course, his story saying that something followed him back and killed Elise.
Yeah.
But then where did it go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Reneé never asked that question because we saw all the other ghouls like recede back into the further. And then they were chilling out, eating spaghetti. They're putting equipment away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time that passes to where how the fuck did this thing still stick around and then just bail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nobody ever...
No.
They've not explained it.
They've not explained it.
But I do agree that the reveal is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a shame.
It's just kind of ruined by that because that would have been like such a... It's like so like jarring and sad the way that they show it, but it's just like,
Yeah, that's right.
We been knew he was in the further, but okay.
But it does set up a very sincere moment that'll pull at your heartstrings later.
Patrick Wilson, he's just good at that though.
Yeah, he's great. The most sincere actor working today.
You didn't say it this episode.
Well, there it is. But back at the Crane house, Carl uses his dice to make contact with Elise again, asking why she brought them here. Unbeknownst to him, screws in a chandelier overhead are loosening themselves. The dice simply say Mors, which is Latin for death.
Yes, because now is the time to flex our Latin.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. And you hear those old ass screws?
They're squeaky as hell.
Like the house is all quiet.
He's like, oh, it's filled with baby mouse. Baby mice. I said it's just one.
Just one mouse.
Just one mouse.
It's very talkative.
Yes. But Lorraine joins him in the room and finds a painting of the woman in white standing behind the child in the dress and pigtails. She recognizes her as the woman that she saw in her house. But just then, the chandelier crashes to the floor, Carl thankfully saving Lorraine just in the nick of time. The commotion brings Specs and Tucker downstairs, and amidst spooky sounds throughout the house, thuds and slamming doors, Carl realizes that they haven't been speaking to Elise.
You had one job, Scrabbles.
Yeah.
One fucking job, dude.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, it seemed
him.
like it was like the spirit was helping them.
It did.
I'd be like, tell me something that only the real Elise would know. How long have you been wearing cropped pants and scarves?
86.
That's Elise.
There we go. I will say that I did kind of die a little bit because after he's like, is this Elise? The dice go, no.
Yeah.
Just very
gotcha,
simple.
Bitch.
Yeah. But the dice reveal who they've been in contact with. Mother Mortis, the mother of death. Carl takes this to mean, literally, the mother of Parker Crane. But it's not literally.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's been a long night.
I was a little confused.
Carl's like, we really just need to wrap this up.
But after hearing sounds behind a bookshelf, Tucker knocks on it and gets emphatic knocks in response from the other side. The men move the bookshelf and everyone begins to gag from the smell. Their camera reveals dozens of corpses covered like sheet ghosts. For some reason, Tucker lifts one to look underneath and he almost loses his lunch in the process.
Yeah, I didn't understand. I mean, I get the curiosity, but I think we kind of know what's going on.
I feel like we know what's under there.
Yeah. I've gathered, but he's like, oh, let me see.
Yeah.
I want to see some freaky shit.
But Specs finds a box full of newspaper clippings about the bride in black, and he recognizes the name. He reads from one of the clippings where a woman who escaped described her attacker as an old woman wearing a black wedding gown and veil. Another article proclaims that the bride in black has claimed his 15th victim. On a mannequin in the room, though, they do find a black wedding gown and veil. Carl touches it, and it triggers a cutscene. In his vision, Parker puts on makeup as a woman behind him, tied up, cries through a gag. Parker then puts on the wedding dress and gown and grabs a bone saw as the woman screams. Carl says what we've probably already figured out. Parker wore that dress as a disguise to commit his murders. He killed for his mother because she forced him to.
But why? Why? Yeah. What was the mother's motive?
They've not explained it.
Right. Plus, he doesn't really seem like in that short little clip of him getting ready to kill that lady. He kind of seems like he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's having a blast.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so this is all so muddled and confusing because on one hand, he's a monster. I mean, I guess even if he was doing it against his will, he's a monster still. But it didn't feel like he was being forced. And so maybe even in that flashback, it could have been her yelling in the background or just shut her up, Parker, or something. Or I don't know.
No,
man.
yeah, because in Red Dragon, he hears his grandma telling him all the time in his head shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, but he's doing it because of that.
Yeah.
This dude doesn't seem like that's what's going on.
I did get, this was giving Red Dragon a little bit for me as well. Yeah.
I was getting Psycho vibes in a way.
That too, for sure.
Because part of me was wondering, I was like, well, okay, if we have this, the Further.
Right.
And his mother is clearly a spirit in the Further. He's also in the Further now.
Right.
But what if when he was alive, his mother took over his vessel?
That's okay.
And was killing these people.
Right.
That's what would make sense. That's why I was like, I can't really get into it yet. And then it's even more apparent later where I'm like, is there a way that they were fused or something?
Right.
That they're both.
Because there's a moment that you're like, wait, that
makes no fucking sense, but we'll get there.
Why is that hurting you?
Yeah.
but we'll explain.
Exactly.
But Carl says that Parker wanted his childhood back, which is why his spirit went after Josh. The next morning, we see Reneé parking in front of Lorraine's house. But before she can retrieve Callie from the back seat, Lorraine pops up, scaring the shit out of her.
Like, Lorraine, you've been gone for days.
Yeah.
She tells Reneé that she needs to speak with her and asks where Josh and the kids are. Josh has not been feeling well and has been in bed all day, and Dalton and Foster are at a neighbor's house. Lorraine tells her that everyone is in danger and that she needs to get in the car and she'll explain everything. Reneé asks if she's been seeing spirits around the house too, but Lorraine tells her that it is not the house, it's Josh. As the car pulls away, we get an overhead shot very reminiscent of a shot from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
With Josh opening his eyes.
So I hope she knows he's a ghost now. His mom's telling you.
Yeah.
Right, sis, you just need to go ahead and let go.
What more do you need?
Yeah.
And I will say I kind of feel bad because I don't want to say that Rose Byrne didn't have a lot to do in this film.
Right.
But she kind of doesn't have a lot to do in this film.
She doesn't. And she's really great.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
You want to see more of her.
A little wasted, yeah.
In a van outside the house, Specs watches as Lorraine and Reneé speed off. He hops into the back with Tucker, who is fitting Carl with a listening device. They argue over the code word to call for help. In all honesty, both options are terrible.
Yeah, no shit.
He said,
should be these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yeah.
It's quesadilla or unicorn.
Yeah.
How the hell? And the thing is like Specs is like, well, how is quesadilla going to come up in conversation? But he's pushing for unicorn.
Unicorn's way where Tucker's like, you could just be like, do you have a quesadilla?
Yeah. He said, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. It's quesadilla time. I will admit, they bring a lot of levity.
They do. They're great together.
Yeah, and I appreciate them here. I did see in like a Q&A thing that Jason Blum almost asked them to cut them out of the film, the first one, or at least taper them down to where they weren't so prevalent. But I like them.
They're great together.
Yeah. But Carl says that it doesn't matter what the code word is and that they'll know if he needs help. But most importantly, Tucker gives Carl a tranquilizer to use on Josh.
Where did they get that?
I don't know. And it looks green like Reanimator.
It's like, this is just Baja Blast.
Yeah.
Believe it'll work.
This is battery acid slime.
But speaking of Josh, inside the house, he makes his way to the kitchen where he finds a note from Lorraine on the fridge saying that she's taking Reneé shopping. I just want to say Josh has looked better.
Yeah,
I know. Shit,
Fuck.
dude.
But he hears a knock at the door, and it's Carl. He introduces himself, and Josh doesn't remember him at all. He explains how he and Elise helped him when he was a child, and now that Elise is gone, he was hoping to talk to Josh to get some closure. Almost reluctantly, but with a bit of understanding, Josh lets him inside. Elsewhere, Reneé and Lorraine park on the curb, and Lorraine explains everything about Parker Crane and how his spirit has taken over Josh. Reneé admits that when she looked into his eyes yesterday, she didn't recognize him at all, and she was actually scared of him.
Well, he was being pretty scary.
Yeah, he was.
It's like just yesterday.
Right? I feel like it's been a few days at this point.
It was the good.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? But Lorraine tells her that Carl is at the house now trying to sedate Josh. Once he's out, they're going to reach out to the real Josh, but Reneé worries that they won't be able to find him.
I feel like they're putting a lot of faith in Carl, whose track record is a little dicey at best. I'm just She's like,
Yeah.
no, Carl will take care of it.
No, it'll be fine.
When you called him the first time, he had to call in Elise. And then this time we went on a fucking scavenger hunt and we weren't even talking to Elise. It's like, I don't know.
You got on to Heather for getting people lost in the Blair Witch Project, but Carl,
you fucking up.
He's like, guys, we were never talking to Elise.
This is not Elise. It's actually the mother of death.
Yes.
So, you know.
That's on me.
My bad.
But back at the house, Josh is coughing and looking more and more like absolute shit. He says he has no idea what happened to Elise, and Carl reminds him that he has an open mind about the supernatural, so whatever he has to say or any ideas that he has, it's not going to freak him out. Josh then explains the entire venture into the further to rescue Dalton, but says that when they got back, he left the room for 10 minutes and then came back to find Elise dead. This is when Carl notices an errant tooth just sitting there on the floor.
Yeah.
When I tell you I busted out laughing. The fact that he's losing teeth at such an accelerated rate that he can't keep track of them.
Or that it just was there.
Yes. So, the fact that it's there because in the bathroom he took it out or whatever. But here, you mean to tell me he's walking through the living room, rips out a tooth, and just throws it on? Come on.
Like a candy bar wrapper.
Come on, man. But Carl slides the tooth toward him casually, pretending to drop his glasses and scooping the tooth and his glasses back up. He asks Josh if he saw the old woman who used to haunt him in the other world, but Josh says that he didn't.
Josh is like, I've never seen an old woman in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why. I feel like it would have made more sense if he copped to it.
Yeah.
He's like, I did see her there, and I saw her get pushed back into the fucking further.
It's just you're denying too much too fervently. I don't know. The whole time, Josh, this whole film, it's just the funniest shit in the world.
It is. But Carl tries to walk by, and Josh grabs his arm, asking very almost threateningly if he would like something to drink.
Yeah.
I'm good on drinks, but I would love a quesadilla.
Yeah.
It's lunchtime. It's quesadilla time.
Yeah, right then and there. That's when you should have said that.
But Carl stammers, asking for a glass of water. As Josh leaves to retrieve it, Carl looks at the bloody tooth and then readies the syringe. Josh is standing behind him now, just watching his every move.
Yeah.
Like he's clearly doing something.
It's like he walked out of the room, turned around, came right back.
Yeah. He had a cup of water waiting, I guess. But Josh asks what he has there, and Carl turns around with nothing. So that was pretty well played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh says that he thought he was playing with his dice. Mother says he likes to play with dice. He says it's so condescending.
Yeah. Your little fucking dice.
But Carl says that he didn't realize that Josh spoke to Lorraine this morning, but says he does use dice for his readings. This is when Carl notices that Josh is clearly hiding something behind his back. He asks what it is, and Josh tells him to consult the dice to find out. Mother said he was very good with them at the house. With a big smile, he tells Carl it'll be fun. Carl gives it a go, asking, "What does Josh?" Then corrects himself. What is Parker Crane hiding behind his back?
When he says Josh smiles like, that's me. Man, he's
like,
fucking falling
great job.
He's eating this shit up.
There was a little featurette that they had talked about the costume design.
Yeah.
And you have Josh in the further wearing a red flannel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In this scene, Parker Josh, who I'll just refer to as PJ from now on, has a robe on that is red plaid, but it's off red.
So it's not quite.
Yes. And so the costume designer had said that she had done that so it would kind of be like a subtle cue to the audience that something's not right.
Yeah, but we already know that.
So,
it's like real subtle.
yeah. His entire performance, you mean?
Yeah.
You know, his robe. There's something not right here.
Yeah. Something's wrong.
Got me crazy.
Can't put my finger on it. But as soon as he says, what does Parker Crane have behind his back, PJ's smile fades.
PJ.
He drops the dice and the camera zooms in on the word knife.
Hot hand in a dice game.
Clankety, clankety, clank.
So who's telling him?
That's a great question. I don't know. Or maybe it's Parker's mother.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But why would she warn him?
I'm so confused.
I don't know, but it's you got that zoom.
Yeah.
The thing is, everything that I'm nitpicking about looks fucking cool. It sounds fucking cool. But when you stop and think, it just doesn't make sense.
Not so much. PJ says Mother was always right, revealing the knife behind his back. In the van, Specs and Tucker are like, shit.
Okay, I have another issue here.
Well, they've only heard.
Yeah, so I'm like, they heard the knife, or I feel like when Carl was like, what does Parker Crane have behind his back? That's when they should have said shit and ran inside. But
maybe it's an editing thing.
It was annoying because he takes out the knife and it's like, fuck. They look at each other like they saw the knife, but they didn't.
They set up
audio.
They set up cameras in
Yeah, he's got a knife.
But they rush out to help Carl. Unfortunately, Carl and PJ are tussling, Carl being no match for him and missing him entirely with a syringe, muttering quesadilla in the process of being choked out.
That made me sad.
Yeah.
He's like, please.
Yeah.
Specs goes to help, but gets rocked in the face and stumbles face first into a wall. Tucker, who grabbed a taser from the van, tases PJ, but gets stabbed in the ass with the tranquilizer, eventually falling on top of Specs. Specs, unable to move, is promptly knocked out by PJ.
You want to be my latex salesman. It's like you guys really fucked this whole thing up.
It just made me laugh when Specs was trying to get out from under Tucker.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure you could do better than that. It's barely trying.
I won't even lie. I did not like this little clumsy.
It was just one thing after another.
Yeah, it was very...
Slapstick?
Yeah, but not in a good way.
Oh.
Because it was like one thing after the other, and then it's like, come on, dude, you guys really, you botched this whole thing. You heard him in trouble, and y'all waited to like you said, waited until he pulled out.
Until
like,
they heard
I guess, they heard him pull out the knife, and they're like, was that a knife?
Yeah.
Fuck. you know what I mean? Like you said, when they called him by name, they should have been hauling ass inside. Mm-hmm. And then for him to get stabbed with the tranquilizer, then slowly fall on his friend, and then his friend's like, no, come on, dude. It could have just, for me, it could have been a little more, I don't want to say believable because his movies, you know what I mean? But it could have been just a little more like they put up a fight.
Right.
Because it didn't seem like they really did.
I mean, Specs is true to form because he got his ass kicked in Insidious.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could have, you have 3 people in the room.
Yeah.
I know that Parker is strong, apparently.
Right.
But you could have figured something out.
Yeah.
My question, too, was who measured out the tranquilizer? Because Tucker's a big fucking dude.
Oh.
And it took him out. Like, were you trying to kill John?
Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
But Carl wakes up in the further, pulled to his feet by the real Josh, who recognizes him. He's like, he killed you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, y'all really made this man's last word quesadilla.
Yes.
Like, I would haunt the shit out of you for that.
Josh says that he's trapped here, getting weaker, and Parker is going to kill his family unless he gets back. Carl says they need to find Elise. The front door of the house opens, and Carl remarks, into the further we go. PJ, meanwhile, is losing his shit in the bathroom.
He's fucking going through it, dude.
His mother is reminding him that he has to kill the Lamberts, and he's just like, get out of my head! Yeah. It's a lot. Again, Patrick Wilson is having a blast.
Yeah.
But he gives every ounce of himself.
Yes, and it's great. It's just very kind of funny.
It is.
But we cut to Reneé dropping Callie off with a friend before returning to Lorraine in the car, who apparently got a message from Tucker saying they're ready. So you're telling me PJ fucking grabbed Tucker's phone and he's like, head back. Head back to the house.
As nitpicky as I've been, that didn't even register with me. That's hilarious.
I thought the same thing.
It's
I was
like, man,
what the
all is
fuck?
good.
Yeah.
Come home now.
Unless Tucker was preemptive. He's like, no, Carl's on the case.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. But in the further, Josh calls out to Elise, but the only response is disembodied screams. Carl goes, don't do that. Carl then stops as Josh holds out the lantern, telling him that there's someone standing right in front of him. Josh sees nothing, but Carl repeats it. He says that the person is saying, he's got your baby. He's got your baby. We then see the old man in the further, played by Jack Walsh, repeating, he's got your baby, in a gravelly voice. I think he's naked.
Yeah.
At the most, he had panties on. But my question is, And I know I said this in the first one too. I want to know what the fuck this dude's story is.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was pretty creepy looking.
That was a character.
Yeah.
Like, that was a choice.
Yeah.
But he's helpful.
Yeah. He's like, listen, dude, you might want to head over.
Like, I know I'm frightening,
I'm
but
scary as
there are bigger fish to fry.
If only he had a nice ass, he could have done the Mothman approach.
Now that I've got your attention. I wanted to point out his casting, Jack Walsh, was because James Wan saw him in Eraserhead, the David Lynch film. And so he cast him from that.
I still need to see that.
Right.
Yeah, me too. But the old man points, and in that direction, we see the Lamberts' house from the first film. We're taken back to the night in the first film when shit first started popping off. The kids are asleep, Dalton is still in a coma, and in the master bedroom, Reneé tells Josh about the voice she heard on the baby monitor. In the further, present-day Josh watches as the long-haired fiend, played by Jay LaRose, paces outside of the Lambert home, eventually making his way inside. He smiles at Josh as Callie cries on the baby monitor. Josh rushes to the front door and bangs on it, getting the attention of past Josh and Reneé. He goes to check it out while Reneé checks on Callie, and seeing no one at the door, past Josh sets the alarm. Now, I did see these scenes side by side, and they color graded the scene to look more natural because it was way more blue in the first film.
Okay.
But with this contrast now, you have Josh in the further that looks more blue.
Yeah.
So if you had them both kind of blue, it would have been weird.
Yeah.
But this way, they're like, no, this is real life.
Yeah,
this is the further.
yeah.
This is my favorite part of the whole film.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very glad that this worked
Yeah.
because I was like, oh shit, that's fucking great.
Yeah, because it was so weird in the first film.
Yeah.
Because I know I was confused.
No,
Well,
yeah.
because it doesn't really make sense.
Just shit being weird.
Yeah.
But the scene does play out as it did in the first film, with Reneé heading into Callie's room and seeing the long-haired fiend standing behind the curtain. Present Josh pushes the door open, sounding the alarm that we heard in the first film.
Yeah.
He runs up to Callie's room and begins to fight with the fiend. He gets his ass whooped for a good long while.
Yeah, I said Josh got his spirit ass kicked. It made me laugh too when Josh, real Josh, I guess, I don't know, comes down and then looks outside and locks the door or whatever. Further, Josh goes, Josh, no.
No, that was great. Like, well, but he can't say me.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know. It just made me laugh because I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to
know
say
that
my
that's
own
you?
name. I don't know. It was just really funny. Josh, no.
Josh, no. But out of nowhere, a lantern appears and a voice shouts for the fiend to go to hell. His face burns and he's catapulted through the window. The person holding the lantern turns around and we see that it's Elise, played by Lynn Shay.
The queen has arrived.
Mm-hmm.
That lamp is a beast.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Super hot. Burn, kill that thing.
Dude, he just looked at it in his
Yeah,
face.
he's like, ah.
Too much. I did obviously appreciate seeing her back.
Yeah.
I think it would have been way more impactful if we didn't hear her voice at the beginning.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
but whatever.
It's fine. But she helps Josh to his feet and they hug each other. Josh apologizes for everything, including the fact that she's here now. Elise tells him that everyone passes through here, but hopefully it's on their way to somewhere better.
Yeah, I hope so, because this place is scary as
this
fuck.
place fucking sucks, dude.
It was all for this?
Yeah,
Fuck.
goddamn. But she says that she's actually seen the better place, but she came back when she heard Josh calling. She's like, even dead, I gotta fucking...
Yeah.
You're exhausting,
God
dude.
damn. But best of all, she thinks she can help. She notices Carl, who himself apologizes for failing her. She says that he didn't fail her and gives him a hug too. But she says that the parasite that followed Josh back, she has a home with all her memories that can be used against her to drive her out of Josh's body. The only thing is, Josh doesn't remember where to find it. This is when Elise posits that they might be asking the wrong Josh. We're taken back to that night in 1986, right after young Elise was slashed in the arm by that ghoul. Everything slows down and the color palette changes to that of the further. Josh walks in, asking young Josh how to find the old woman. Josh stands behind him, and in shots intercut between reality and the further, young Josh stands up and says, "I'll show you."
It's like, oh.
Yeah. It's all coming together. And see, this is the puzzle that I'm loving.
Yeah.
But young Josh walks into the hall and points to a door just like he did before. Only Josh opens it, and we watch it open by itself in 1986. In the further, Elise is like, Oh.
Yeah.
So that's what that was about.
I didn't like that.
I did.
I didn't. I don't. We know. You just showed us.
Yeah,
You didn't need to be like, do you remember? Yeah,
But-
it's like,
Remember from the beginning, we were all confused.
yeah.
But I feel like if she didn't say something, it would have been weirder. If she's just like, yeah, let's go.
Maybe just okay. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But
I thought it was cute.
it was a
but
little. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it was a little silly.
I'll
I was
always
like,
give Lin Shaye a pass.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know if I really needed that. We just seen
We did.
what happened. Maybe just oh fuck, you know what I mean? Or okay, but
Could you imagine if she was like, oh, fuck. But the group reaches a red door and heads inside. Back in reality, Reneé and Lorraine arrive at home, calling out to Carl and Josh, but getting no response. They head into the dining room where PJ sits in the dark, spinning something on the table. Lorraine asks if Carl stopped by, but he says that he didn't. Lorraine turns on the light and the camera glides in, and we see that he looks like absolute death.
yeah,
He is a shell of a man.
he
Yes.
looks fucking terrible.
When she turned the light on, I was expecting him to be like, I feel like that's the only thing that was missing.
No, it was so bad. But I did see on a featurette that they went through, I think, 4 different transformations for Josh.
Yeah.
Because he gets progressively worse.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he does.
And so they said the first makeup was like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it increased to this one, which took 2 hours to do.
Oof, damn.
Because there's a lot of prosthetics
Yeah.
you can see.
He looks fucking rough.
Yeah. And he honestly kind of starts to look like Parker.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like a mix.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Looper, but good. But he drops what he was spinning, and we see that it was a die from Carl's bag. So that was a fucking lie.
Damn, at least hide the evidence.
Yeah.
Like, you're horrible.
He's playing with it. But he immediately charges after them, chasing them through the house. They eventually hide in the piano room, smashing his hand in the door.
He's like, these damn human hands.
He pulls it back, relishing in the pain, saying he missed it, but not as much as he misses inflicting it on others.
That was a lot.
That was that was too
The
much.
line was so clunky.
I was like, we get it, guy. Like, come on.
You're evil. We
Yeah.
know.
That line always bothered me.
It's really bad.
He's like, if I had to rank how much I'm missing things right now,
Inflicting, definitely higher than this.
number 1. But the women block the door with the piano, but he eventually breaks through. He traps Lorraine in the bathroom, locking her inside, and continues chasing Reneé into the kitchen. I laughed because when he locked her inside, he goes, I'll be back for you later, mommy.
Yeah. Fucking asshole.
It's like, dude, come on.
Was the key just in the door? Like, how
Yeah.
did he even lock
Yeah,
her
I
in there
And
from the
who-
outside?
That's my problem.
Yeah, I don't.
Why
What
is that
it?
happening?
Who designed this house?
But Reneé beats him with the pot, and when she turns to run away, he throws a fucking tea kettle
Yeah.
at the back of her head.
Well, that was her first mistake, was stopping. You should have
Yeah.
kept beating his ass.
He wasn't incapacitated at
No.
all.
The
Oh,
way that
no.
it makes contact and she goes down, though, it looks like a skit. Like, it was too much.
Yeah. Still, though, he chunked the shit out of that thing at her.
Oh, he did. And
She took it like a champ, too.
yeah, my thing is, again, he throws it just hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But PJ laments that his mother was right and that he will have to kill them all. Just outside, the babysitter drops off Dalton and Foster. I could not think of a worse.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, hey, they're so happy.
Yeah. It's my thing is it's all dark. Like, you can't walk them up
That
to the
was-
house.
Yeah.
She could have walked into
They're
the
just
door.
like tuck and roll kids. And not to sound like Billy from Black Christmas, but where's the baby?
Yeah, I was like, well, we saw her, Reneé,
Right.
drop Callie off at it looked like a blonde woman's house.
Right, right.
How many babysitters do you have? I was confused by that. But inside, PJ gets on top of Reneé, calling her a miserable, ungrateful bitch. He tells her that she spent so much time being afraid of the dead, and now she's about to become one of them. He tells her that he's going to take her to his home in the dark, and she'll realize how happy she should have been while she had her moment in the sun. Thought that was a pretty good line.
They're much better than they're not as much as I am this inflicting it on others.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
But he begins to strangle Reneé, and when she looks up, all she sees is the bride in black smiling a devious grin. We then see Foster in the background screaming.
Yeah.
He's holding his hands like little claws.
Yeah.
It's like when Flanders saw the purple drapes. But Dalton appears out of nowhere, whacking PJ in the head with a baseball bat.
I wish they would have let Foster do this.
Do something.
Let the child have a moment.
Something.
Well, he got that scream.
Yeah.
The scream
You got
was
the
great.
cups.
Yeah. But PJ gets a hold of the bat, and thankfully Reneé is able to scoop up the kids, locking them all in the basement. PJ is pissed, and he breaks the bat on the door.
Well, dude fucking clocked the shit out of him. They gave him just enough time to get away.
And I mean, it's funny because there is no room for miscommunication.
No.
It's not like he was there next to her. He was literally
No,
strangling.
he was on top of her,
Reneé.
choking her. Yeah.
So he snapped into action. Dalton, great job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, great job. But in the basement, they lock another door and put a washing machine in front of that to block it. Back in the further, the crew reaches Parker's house, and Elise sees visions of Parker's room. They reach his room and find his younger self, played by Tyler Griffin, sitting on his bed in a dress and that pigtailed wig. He rips the wig off, shouting defiantly that his name is Parker. His mother, the woman in white, comes into frame with a drawing of flowers that says, "To Mommy, love Parker." She asks, "Did you do this?" He says that he didn't, and she says, "Don't you dare," and slaps him across the face.
So that's what we were seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about because if you have Parker that's haunting Josh, Parker still has his mother that's haunting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So that might be why she's showing up at the house and shit.
Right.
Showing up like she's knocking.
Yeah.
Is Parker
Parker.
Parker finally confesses that he did, and she reminds him, "Parker is not your name." She says that's the name his father gave him. His name is Marilyn. She forces him to say it, which he does quietly. Josh, Elise, and Carl are like, should we be here for this?
Yeah, they're just watching.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that our focus is on Parker, but I would really like to know what the fuck is going on with his mom.
Right. Yeah.
And what happened to his dad, too.
I think that's the thing, is that this movie is an hour 45.
Right.
And I would love to see more elaboration on the
Almost
motivations
everything.
of the mother.
Yeah.
Really just the entire villain subplot.
Because she is pretty scary.
Yeah, well, she is, but we all agree that she's very attractive, right?
I mean, her teeth, they're like,
look, we've all got
brown and
problems.
bloody.
Nothing a dentist won't fix. All I'm saying is that I don't know what I'm saying.
Let's just
Let's
get
move
past
on.
it.
It's fine. Get past it. Cut that. So I think the major thing is like, it's very fucked up, obviously, the abuse.
Right.
So that seems like it would be a motivator enough. Mm-hmm. But my concern, if Parker wants to be Marilyn, that's 100% fine.
Right.
He clearly does not. He wants to be Parker.
Yeah.
So what is, again, what's her motivation? What's his motivation? What?
And to me, that's the disconnect as to why they said that he was in the hospital. I just feel like, I don't want to say that it's lazy, but it's kind of lazy because it's kind of just relying on, oh, he's wearing a dress, like fill in the blanks. It's like, no, it's that's what I'm saying, that it's harmful
because
it's dangerous because you're really like stigmatizing shit that you're not even willing to label or tell the complete story of. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's why it bothers me, because it's not even a cohesive story that y'all are trying to tell. Psycho was a cohesive story.
Right.
Like you understood the intention behind the decisions that were being made.
There's a reason.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
I think that it would make more sense if, like I suggested, like if Parker's mother died and then took over Parker's vessel to kill all these women.
Yeah.
And then she's just dressing as she dressed.
Yeah, but that's not the story that we're being given.
No, and that would honestly confuse everything, because then why is the bride in black haunting Josh? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it.
Maybe
I don't know.
That might be why they didn't pull that thread. But I just think that it needs some kind of streamlining. You know what honestly would have worked as well? What if, like, you just have the abuse subplot, as bad as it is, but Parker is her daughter, just period.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then, I mean, you're still getting what you want. I think the hiccup that they had was whenever they did the first Insidious,
right?
A
man played,
a man played the bride in black. So I think that they got that idea and they wanted to expand on it, but they didn't expand on it in a way that was, I guess, completely thought out or necessarily meaningful,
right?
Or non-problematic.
I was gonna say non-offensive, because it is.
So I mean, I don't know.
Unfortunately, like it is. It just doesn't. Not great choices.
Right.
I'll just say that.
A lot of different ones could have been made.
Yeah.
But Parker's mother tells him that if he doesn't be a good little girl, he'll get... But then she goes silent, noticing Elise standing there with tears in her eyes. She points at Elise, color draining from the shot, and her mouth stretching into a growl as a force pulls Elise and Carl out of the room. It is a great shot.
It is.
Yeah.
The way that they accomplished that, they had them on this little thing. I don't remember what it was called. I'm just going to call it a baby roller coaster.
All right.
That kind of pulled them back and snapped them through.
Right.
But the way that it shows on the film, it looks so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just very well done. But back with the Lamberts, in super shaky cam, Dalton offers to go into the further to find Josh. Renee's like, hell no, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what was the first film about?
Yeah.
Right.
Is what she says to him. No. But he promises he can do it, and since he's apparently in charge, he gets going.
It made me laugh because she's like, no, it's too dangerous. I can do it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to do what the kid says. But as PJ continues to try to break in, Dalton grabs the tin can phone from his brother, and he must have, again, been very tired already because...
I was fucking laughing because the way that this child rolled up to his house, saw his possessed father strangling his mother, attacked his father, ran for his life, and immediately took his ass to sleep. Was fucking hilarious to me.
Hey, we all crash from adrenaline.
Say a lot has happened.
Yeah. But venturing into the further, Dalton carries his tin can, walking through a red door. In the Crane house, Elise yells through the door for Josh to destroy the woman in white and end this. But when Josh turns around, the room is filled with Parker's victims covered in sheets. The woman in white taunts him, and he begins removing sheets from the women. Back in reality, PJ breaks through the first door, finding his way to the basement and trying to smash through that door. Reneé hides Foster in a cupboard and arms herself with a hammer. Upstairs, Specs wakes up, checks on Tucker, and rescues Lorraine from the bathroom.
They slept through a lot.
Yeah.
Like, think about all that huge fight in the kitchen and the strangling and screaming. They slept through all that.
Well, I feel like Tucker has a reason.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
Well, I guess in Carl.
Yeah, that's fair. But when PJ breaks through the door, Reneé beats his ass with a wrench. She switched from hammer to wrench.
Well, the wrench was on the shelf and she just grabbed it, which
She's like,
I would have grabbed that too.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah, that's true.
But these people take head injuries like nothing.
Yeah, he takes it like a champion, dude.
Fuck no, she hits him like a couple of times with that thing.
And he just throws her to the floor.
No wounds, no bleeding, no. Fuck.
It's like, how strong is Parker, dude? But back in the further, Elise begs young Parker to let her in the room to destroy the memories of his mother. Speaking of his mother, Josh finally finds her underneath one of the sheets, and she is not fucking around.
Nope.
Blood pouring from her mouth, she proceeds to strangle Josh.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I think she has gingivitis or something. You should probably just take a pass.
Look, you ever hear of Listerine? But in the real world, Specs tries to stop Josh from killing Dalton, but just gets his ass kicked again.
Yeah.
Specs, what did you think was going to happen?
know.
Like, he's consistent. And what is Dalton on that he's still fucking sleeping through?
I don't know. I realize I just called him Josh again instead of PJ, but there's like 8 Joshes in this film.
There's a few.
We know what you mean.
I'm trying to keep things normal, but it's very difficult. But very cool. In similarly framed shots, we watch as PJ raises a hammer to Dalton's sleeping head, while in the further, Elise raises a chair to Parker's mother, beating the absolute shit out of her.
Oh, yeah.
This is where it gets a little confusing.
Very confusing.
PJ screams in pain and collapses as we see the bride in black sucked deep into a void of darkness. Parker and his mother are now gone, and Elise tells Josh that it's time to return to the real world. And what's more, Carl is not dead. She apparently felt his heartbeat when she hugged him. And then we get sounds of a heartbeat, which is a lot.
It's like, okay, we know what heartbeat is.
But she tells them it's time to live again, but they have to go now. As they rush toward a red door, we watch the world collapse around Elise as it all disappears into darkness. Kind of a sad shot.
Very sad, but she's going to the good place for sure.
We can only hope.
But this is what I'm talking about, that I don't understand how defeating her killed Parker.
I don't know.
Unless there was some way that they were both inhabiting Josh. But that's not what y'all said. I don't know. I'm just confused.
I took it as his mom was such like a negative force or had such a negative impact on him. Mm-hmm. It stuck with him and it haunted him. So even as he was dead, he was still haunted by his mom.
Yeah, but wouldn't he be like, I'm free? Like, I mean, he shouldn't die. Well, they're not the same person.
Well, but I mean, with all that, well, that was what I said earlier about the theory of her haunting him, which is why she's even in the house.
Right.
But I think that like killing her, I don't know, dude. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's weird.
It doesn't make sense.
All right.
I'm sure it does somewhere, but it's maybe like
y'all
a
let me
loose
know.
string.
Let me know.
But the men are quickly lost in the fog, descended upon by restless spirits. Josh backs them away with the lantern, but stops when he hears Dalton's voice. He calls out to them, and they find him. They then hear Renee's voice coming through the can, begging them to come back.
She sounds like a demon coming through the can.
Well, the can's got its own sound properties.
It's like, Mommy?
Yeah. I laughed because Carl is like, clever boy.
Yeah.
All right. But they follow Dalton back, Josh and Dalton returning to their bodies. Reneé looks suspicious as fuck, and for good reason.
Yeah, but the kids run to him.
Yeah, but
and
I mean...
he looks great. Like, you saw how he looked a minute ago.
Yeah, and he looks fine now.
Yeah,
She's
that's
still
true.
Like,
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But Josh assures her that it's him and that it's okay. As you said, Dalton and Foster hug him.
Yeah.
But Reneé is still unsure until Josh tells her that he tried everything to reach her. He even played her song.
Oh, so when he brings up some shit she did, then she's like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're normal. Yeah.
Well, the other asshole was like, I don't know what that
is. I know, but he looks fine now. Like I said, the kids are all on him.
I mean, I get it, but I would still be suspicious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The last time you came back, fucking a bride was,
Yeah.
But Reneé says that she should have known it was him. Only he could play her song that badly. They laugh and kiss, the family reunited.
They're like, oh, we have fun.
Yeah, it's like a sitcom. I laughed because Lorraine pops up and hugs them like, I'm also here. Tucker then busts into the room a little late for the fight.
I mean, he can get a pass.
He had moxie.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if he heard everything was fine and then did that.
Yeah.
I'm here. But later, Carl leads a session of hypnosis to rid Josh and Dalton of their astral projection abilities once and for all. The camera presses in on Josh, who closes his eyes, and we fade to white.
But this is until Dalton has children, and they accidentally do the same shit.
Well, that's not our problem.
It will be. Suppressing it isn't the answer. Didn't we learn this already?
Well, what the fuck else can they do, dude?
Just stop.
He did it accidentally. In his own room. He was like, oh shit, I'm not in my body. And then he hopped in like a ghost trying to be reborn or whatever. Like, it's not feasible. I know.
Just stop it, y'all. Quit it.
But from the white, we then dip down from a bright sky as Specs and Tucker arrive at a house knocking on the door. They say they have a message about someone named Allison. Brian, played by Jorge Luis Payo, answers the door. Tucker, eating a Hot Pocket. It's like you couldn't do that in the car?
I was going to say you really couldn't finish that in the car.
But he says they have a close personal friend that's spoken to Allison. Natalie, played by Priscilla Garita, and Annie, a young girl played by Jenna Ortega, joined Brian at the door.
I was like, oh, she's all little.
It was very surprising. But Specs explains, and she's having a moment right now.
She is.
But Specs explains that they help people, but Annie's like, who's that lady standing behind them? We see it's Elise, who politely shushes Annie and lets herself inside.
Yeah.
She's like, don't blow up my spot.
We then see Allison, played by Danae Rodriguez, sitting catatonic in a chair by the window. Specs explains that when Allison was resuscitated at the hospital, she brought something back with her. Tucker says, many things, and they're here in the house now. Elise tries to talk to Allison, but we hear the familiar creaking sound of the lipstick-faced demon. Elise looks over Allison's head, and we hear ghostly breathing. She then mutters, oh my God, and gasps. We then get the shit your pants scary title card of Insidious, and the credits roll.
She can't even get a break when she's dead,
Yeah.
man.
No.
Like, God damn.
I thought she was going to the good place, you said.
Yeah.
Right?
This ain't it, fam. But I have to ask the customary question. What did you guys think of Insidious Chapter 2?
I stick to what I said at the beginning. I do like the movie. There is some problems and some little things I didn't like, and it was confusing. But I don't know why I want to apologize for these movies. Like, I don't, because like I know they do have, this movie does have a couple of problems or whatever, but I do like these Insidious movies, and I know that, you know, they're not all the best as the first one was, or they weren't as good as the first one was, but I still like them, and I'll probably still watch them, you know what I mean, down the line in the future or tomorrow or whenever, you know what I mean? I do enjoy these movies, but I did enjoy this movie.
I don't think it was bad. I just feel like it had a lot of holes. It had a lot of issues for me.
Yeah.
But it's not like a bad movie.
No?
I just feel like it was lazy in some of its execution. And like I said, a lot of it, I mean, I don't know how I didn't notice the first time I watched it that he shouldn't have died because his mother was
Right.
Yeah. But now I'm like, that doesn't track. Like, I don't understand. But if you just turn your brain off and watch it, it's fucking, it's good. You know what I mean? It's fine. But if you think too much about it, it does start to fall apart.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But I mean, there's a lot of movies that I think can be that.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes it difficult to watch with a critical eye because then you start noticing shit
Yeah.
and start picking away at it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, man. But I mean, it's one of those movies that I really enjoy. As I said at the top, it just works so much better as a double feature. It's very hard to judge it on its own for me.
Yeah. No, because it's a perfect double feature.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard.
It's literally like a companion piece.
It is.
But I do agree. I mean, I do love a lot of aspects of it, but it does drop the ball in some ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know where. Maybe just the story could have been. It's more a matter of the villains. I want to know more.
Yeah.
Because explain to me what the motivation is, especially for Parker's mother. Why does she want this so bad?
Yeah. What the fuck is her deal?
You know? But I guess that can lead us into ratings. As I said, I enjoy this film a lot. It's a matter of James Wan, Lee Winnell.
Right.
Great duo. Two great tastes that taste great together. But for me, it's the aesthetic of it, what they do with their budget, because this movie did not cost a lot of money.
Right.
I mean, it's $5 million. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right. No
But
shit.
for a film, it's really not that much. I have to call out Patrick Wilson because I feel like he's not only having a good time, but I feel like he's really the only actor who has a chance to stand out in this film.
Right.
He is. Unfortunately, that's true.
It's kind of a bummer, but at least he got the shine.
Yeah.
Because he does shine.
He does. And I do enjoy the music and the lighting and the expanding on the further and the mythology.
Oh, yeah.
That's a ton of fun, and they get into it even more in the sequels. I will say that they did just set up something here at the end of this film that I thought they were going to revisit immediately in the third film.
Yeah.
No.
They were like, you thought.
Yeah.
Psych.
But on the negative side, I think it's really down to Parker's backstory and kind of the motivation for the villains.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little problematic.
It is.
And as good as it is and as good as a companion piece as it is, in all honesty, it doesn't hit like the first one.
It doesn't.
No.
But for me, out of 10 torn out teeth, I am going to give Insidious Chapter 2 7 torn out teeth out of 10. If it was on its own, for me, I don't... The issue is the double feature situation.
Right.
I watched them back to back, and I had more of an appreciation for both films because of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I went up
that
to a
makes
7.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But probably maybe in a normal world with just this film, it might have been a 6.5.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm going with a 7. Anyway, I will now open the floor to you.
I feel the same way. I do like what they did with these movies as far as like stories and the way they're explaining the further and ghosts and whatever. Like, I really enjoy that. But yeah, the movie, it is better appreciated watching it right after the first one.
For sure.
I do like that they pick up immediately from the end and then keep going, because I also liked out Halloween 2.
Yes.
But I feel like doing that, not every movie can work that way, but when you can make it work, it it's fucking phenomenal.
For sure.
And I feel like this movie does do that if watched back to back. On its own, yeah, it's a little confusing, and but I would recommend watching this movie. I will watch this movie again. Like you were saying, you know, what was going on with Parker and it was a little weird and confusing, and I would also like to know more about his mom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's see that demon.
Yeah.
What's going, or what she turned into, or why this is happening. That would be very interesting, and I'm sure they could do a lot of crazy shit with that story. But I mean, well, I'm sure there's going to be another Insidious down the line or something, because there's 4 now, or
yeah.
So I'm. Did they end it, or is it?
They did not end it, because there's a new one coming out that they're going to film soon, I believe. The story is from Lee Winnell.
Okay.
And it's going to be directed by Patrick Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I'll be there.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be there.
Well, yeah. But I do enjoy this movie, and like I said, you know, if you haven't watched it, I do recommend watching it. And the double feature thing is right. You hit the nail right on the head. It's best to watch them back to back. So on a scale from 1 to 10, torn out teeth, I'm gonna give Insidious Chapter 2 a 7.5.
All right.
I do enjoy the movie. You know what I mean? Like I said, the further and the way they did everything, and it does look beautiful. You know what I mean? The movie looks great, but on its own, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with y'all. I just want to shout out Patrick Wilson's performance again, and really just throw in again my disdain for how lazy they got with Parker and his mother. I think I was pretty clear pointing out the stuff that didn't work for me, or the stuff that didn't really make sense to me. But again, this isn't bad, especially when you're watching it with the first one. And I will say that my score went up a little bit because of that scene in the further that ties into the first one.
Yeah.
That's just really chef's kiss. Like, that for me is the best part of the entire film, because you're like, fuck, like I know this part.
It's honestly brilliant.
It really is.
Real quick, I don't mean to cut you off, but I know a lot of people, like, the Paranormal Activity movies do get bad as they go. And the marked ones, there's one thing in that movie that saved that movie for me because of something like that.
Oh, okay.
And it was like one thing, I was like, okay, I'm fine with the way everything else was because of this.
Oh, okay.
I gave up before then.
I get it how that executing that good
can save it.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically I would just be echoing what you guys already said. But on a scale from 1 to 10 torn out teeth, I also gave Insidious Chapter 2 a 7. I remembered liking it more than I actually did end up liking it watching it.
Right.
But it's still fun. It still makes for a really great sequel.
Yeah.
It's just some of the writing for me was like, wait, what?
The overdub.
The overdub really from the first scene, I was like, hold the fuck on.
Wow.
Like, nuh-uh.
I watch a lot of anime, so I didn't give a shit.
Well, that's all from us at Pod Mortem. What would you rate Insidious Chapter 2, and what should we watch next? Let us know on Twitter at the Pod Mortem. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. Be sure to follow each of us on Twitter at TravisMWH, at Blood and Smoke, and at RealStreeter84. Please consider pledging to our Patreon and stay tuned until after the music for a special thank you to our Wendigo Getter patrons. And remember, while your talents may open doors for you, be wary of what might be waiting on the other side. Until next time. Thank you for staying tuned. We want to give a very special thank you to all of our Wendigo Getter patrons.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Special thank you to Chris Ontiveros, Kristen Lofton, Megan Martinez, Kimberly Bass, Melanie Van Houston, Sophie Hodson, Anthony Jerome M., Jordan Nash, Kent Morton, Guy54, Lala Tamez, Travis and Nisa Hunter, Miguel Myers ATX, Mandy, Jennifer Perez, Pierre Lombard, Allison O'Neill, Carissa, TJ Bronson, Gabrielle Trevino, Spooky Mom, Andy Teague, Applin Ontiveros, Karima Rhodes, Antonio Huerta, Kimberly Kleindienst, Will Brown, Linda, Sydney Smith, Osvaldo Soto, Jonathan Booth, Bobby Holmes, Donna Eason, JD Rizak, Molly Gerhart, Armand Spasto, Aaron Aguirre, Eggy, William Berry, Brittany Ramatar, Charity Oxner, Amanda Six, Mandy Rainwater, Garrett Rogers, Jordan Roberts, Danielle Peralta, Dylan, Melissa Sierra, Holly Bryan, Alex Schultz, Jordan Blevins, Michelle Moore, Liz Heath, Spencer Montalvo, Pancake the Panda, John Ramos, Michael Newting, Alexius Roberts, Dan Laveau, Itzy M, and Gary Horton. Thank you all so much.
The gang's all here.
Oh, yeah.
We truly want to thank you all and just want to let you know that with all your support, there is no telling how much further we could go.
But without the demons.
Yeah, I don't want any of that.
You know?
Until next time.